Chapter 469. Oyu Du Xiao and Xiedan Qiong signed an IOU. Everyone had a helpless and sullen feeling in their hearts. Mo Tianyun also lifted his brush. But he felt that the brush was extremely heavy. He couldn't write those words no matter what. Can I really afford it? How can I pay it back? I have almost emptied the clan's liquid funds. And I have mortgaged 4 of our 8 major industries. The Mo clan is rich and powerful. But these 2 brothers have been messing around with each other these past few years. So, it has become an empty shell, Brother Mo. Chu Yang smiled and said, "It's just an IOU. It's only 525 million. Don't tell me that Brother Mo, can't even come up with this amount of money." Mo Tianyun's complexion turned ashen. He wouldn't have done anything if he had come up with this amount of money under normal circumstances. But he had just lost more than 2 billion. And he had mortgaged 4 of his industries. So, his pockets were empty even if he had money. Ao Xieyun, Xiedan Qiong, and Oyu Du Xiao looked at him with a hint of schadenfreude. You deserve it. You were greedy. You wanted to hog 1 billion for yourself. Now, you taste your retribution, right? Haha. Brother Chu, you see, can you be more lenient? Mo Tianyun clenched his teeth, and said in a low voice. He had finally decided to put down his pride. After all, he had no choice but to lower his head under the eaves. Now, he was in the enemy's hands. So, what else could he do if he didn't show any weakness? Brother Mo, you're in the wrong here, Chu Yang interrupted him in annoyance. He then asked bluntly, do you have no money? It's indeed somewhat difficult. Mo Tianyun braced himself. That's right, I can also see that Brother Mo is definitely in trouble. Otherwise, you wouldn't have borrowed that 1 billion. Chu Yang sneered and said, but, Brother Mo, do you think that we can play this game of taking a white wolf without risking anything? My intelligence is beyond your expectations. And you, Mo Tianyun, aren't an idiot, right? Mo Tianyun retreated step by step. But Chu Yang pressed on step by step. You retreat 1 step, I advance 2 step. His attitude was arrogant. His face was full of contempt. His eyes were full of disdain. I will kill you. I will anger you. I will play you to death. Chu Yang felt a burst of pleasure in his heart when he thought about how Mo Qingwu had been bullied by this guy. The other archdukes beside him were also gloating. They were having a great time. Normally, who would be able to force the number 1 successor of a large aristocratic family to such a sorry state? Mo Tianyun's complexion turned pale. He forcefully restrained his anger. He swallowed his anger and said, as long as Brother Chu is willing to extend the deadline by 10 days to half a month, this no matter what, I will gather them for you. Ha ha ha. Chu Yang looked up to the sky and laughed. Then, he said ruthlessly, no matter what, you must give me this IOU today. Since he said 3 days, he couldn't delay it by even 2 hours. If Brother Mo is unwilling to pay up, I won't force you. There are many witnesses here. Gambling debts must be paid with one's life. This is the rule of the martial world. He sneered, his eyes shooting out a sharp light like a sword, and said in a low voice, Brother Mo, do as you see fit. Jiu Du Xing hugged his long sword and casually said, I can help Brother Mo. I can guarantee that you will die a quick and painless death. My sword is very fast. No one in the 3 heavens can deny this. Dongwu Shong's eyes emitted a bloodthirsty light. He said, Mo Tianyun, I, Dongwu Shong, can also help you. My saber is well known in the 3 heavens. As he spoke, his fighting spirit was rising. His murderous aura was surging. One of his hands was already holding the hilt of his saber. Xiedan Qiong couldn't bear it. He stepped forward and said, Brother Chu. Chu Yang turned his head and said with an amiable smile, what? Does Brother Xie also want to pay the debt now? No problem. If Brother Xie can take it out now, I won't have any objections. No, it's fine. Xiedan Qiong awkwardly wiped his sweat and retreated. Fuck, I was almost dragged in. This King of Hell Chu is really like the King of Hell. He revealed his true colors with just 1 sentence. Motherfucker, I can't afford to offend him, but I can't hide. There are 4 people on my side right now. But Ao Xie-yun is free of debt. Moreover, Ao Xie-yun and Mo Tian-yun have never seen eye to eye. So, he will never help Mo Tian-yun. Ao Xie-yun is already very conscientious in not hitting someone when they are down. In case of a conflict, it would be equivalent to me, Ou Du Xiao, and Mo Tian-yun facing Jiu Duxing, Dong Wushong, Luo Kudi, Jimo, and the unpredictable king of Hell Chu. This is simply courting death. Not to mention that I still owe them. I will have to carry this infamy for my entire life if I attack them now. Ou Du Xiao also didn't move since Mo Tian-yun didn't move. Ou Du Xiao and Mo Tian-yun didn't have any friendship. So, how could he offend his creditor for this guy? Luo Kudi shouted, Mo Tian-yun, you motherfucker, are you going to pay the debt? Or are you going to commit suicide? You should be sincere and say something. Everyone is very busy. This second Master Luo spends billions every quarter of an hour. I can't afford to waste time with you. Jimo turned his face away. His entire body twitched. Motherfucker, you spend billions every quarter of an hour. Luo Kudi really dares to brag. Look at his poor and destitute appearance. It's more like he spends dozens of copper coins every quarter of an hour. Mo Tian-yun was in a difficult situation. For people from 4 sides were eyeing him covetously. It seemed as if they wanted to tear him apart alive. When had the dignified great young master of the Mo clan suffered such humiliation? Mo Tian-yun wished that he could die. This is too shameful. This is too shameful. He was also secretly hating in his heart, why doesn't this king of Hell Chu give me any face? How can a person do things so ruthlessly in Jianghu? I, Mo Tian-yun, am a respectable person no matter what is said. He didn't know that Chu Yang was deliberately forcing him into a dead end. The more he forced him, the more uncomfortable he would feel. And, the more Chu Yang would feel good. So, how could he be willing to be considerate of him? Mo Tian-yun's complexion alternated between white and green. He wanted to roar several times, fine, I'll stake it all. Who's afraid of whom? Isn't it just a life? If you want it, then take it. However, he didn't dare to do so when he thought of the consequences of taking action. And, he also thought of the terrifying scene after Jukyu intervened. He thought for a long time. Then, he finally clenched his teeth and said, fine, I'll write an IOU for you. 3 days it is. Yes, this is the boldness of a great young master. This is the boldness of the future clan lord of the Mo clan. This is Mo Tian-yun, great young master Mo. Chu Yang's tone was eccentric. He ridiculed to his heart's content, Brother Mo is really flexible. He can be soft or hard. He can be rough or delicate. He can advance or retreat. He can go up or down. He's really a character. Luo Kudi held his stomach and laughed wildly. Big brother, your words are too vivid. I'm thinking of second brother Jiu. Jiu Duxing flew into a rage. He kicked this bastard far away. Second young master Luo begged for mercy in midair, spare my life. I'm talking about second brother Gu's second brother, Jimo and Dong Wushong's bodies twitched. Ao Xie-yun, Xie Dan-cheong, and Ou Du Xiao also tightly pursed their mouths. They were trying their best not to laugh. The dignified great young master of the Mo clan had been described as, that thing. The fact that Mo Tian-yun was humiliated to such an extent was a great anecdote of the upper 3 heavens. Mo Tian-yun immersed himself in writing. Endless feelings of humiliation had rushed into his heart. His chest had almost exploded with anger. His face had almost turned purple. In fact, blood had almost seeped out of it. But, he clenched his teeth and didn't say a word. Chu Yang had finished writing the IOU after a short while. Then, he carefully blew on the ink of Mo Tian-yun's seal. He smiled with satisfaction. He shook it against the wind. Then, he carefully folded it in half and put it in his bosom. Then, he gently smiled and said, Brother Mo, let me remind you that you only have 3 days. He clicked his tongue as he said this. Then, he used a frivolous tone that could infuriate a person to death and said, I have to say that Brother Mo's handwriting is pretty good. Unfortunately, it's worthless. Otherwise, these few words would have been enough to repay the debt. Mo Tianyun's lips trembled. He firmly looked at Chu Yang. His eyes had almost turned red. He clenched his teeth and said, 3 days is 3 days. Don't tell me that I, Mo Tianyun, can forget about the world-defying heavens. No, no, no. I mean, Brother Mo, the one who will look for you to collect the debt won't be me, Chu Yang, but Duke Yu. Don't forget that he's the notary. If I don't look for him, who will I look for? Chu Yang sighed hypocritically. I won't be responsible if Duke Yu feels uncomfortable or unhappy and does something to you. Who asked him to be the notary? Mo Tianyun's face suddenly turned pale. However, if Brother Mo can't repay the debt, I have another solution. I have another solution. Chu Yang smiled faintly. What solution? Mo Tianyun fiercely raised his head. I heard that the Mo clan recently obtained a peerless saber. Chu Yang's smile seemed to contain bloodthirst. He gently and slowly said, the exact time should be 1.5 years ago. There is such a thing, right? Mo Tianyun fiercely took 3 steps back. He looked at Chu Yang dumbfoundedly. You? How did you know? Haha, you don't have to worry about this. I'm just reminding you. If you can't repay the debt within 3 days, you can give me that saber within a month. Chu Yang said, I'll suffer a little loss. There was no way that 3 days would be enough. Mo Tianyun had placed all his hopes on that saber. For Chu Yang, it was indeed a loss. Because that saber, as long as he had the materials, he could make it in half a day. Moreover, he didn't need to spend any money. It was just that these few days, he heard Mo Qingwu mumbling in her dreams, my saber, my saber, my saber. Chu Yang really couldn't bear it. He knew that the saber had an unusual meaning to Mo Qingwu. Moreover, Chu Yang's plan was not just to take back the saber. This was a sinister trap for Mo Tianyun. Mo Tianyun gritted his teeth. He had never felt so depressed in his life. He said, but that saber is my Mo clan's heirloom. Chu Yang smiled meaningfully. Family heirloom? Ha ha ha, heirloom? Ha ha ha. His tone was light and extremely sarcastic. Mo Tianyun's face turned red. He shouted, what are you laughing at? Chu Yang's face changed. He coldly said, I don't care if it's a heirloom or not. You only have 4 choices. 1. Give me 525 million taels within 3 days. 2. This money will double in 3 days. The interest will compound. At most, it will compound for a month. 3. I want that saber. 4. Use your head to repay the debt. Chapter 470. Chu Yang coldly said, I think that Brother Mo should be smart enough to make this choice. I have absolute faith in your wisdom. It would be impossible to repay the debt within 3 days. If the interest rate were to double every 3 days, then it would be 1 billion for a day, 2 billion for a day, 4 billion for 12 days, and 5 billion for 15 days. Moreover, the interest would compound. Mo Tianyun might not be able to repay his debt even if he mortgaged all 3 days in 1 month. Mo Tianyun obviously wouldn't be willing to repay the debt with his head. Mo Tianyun left in a daze. He only left behind a few words before he left. I will give you that saber within a month. Chu Yang cruelly smiled as he looked at the back of Grand Duke Missouri. After Mo Tianyun left, Ao Xieyun also took his leave. He wanted to gather some of his remaining forces. Xiedan Qiong and Oyu Du Xiao also wanted to take their leave. But Chu Yang cordially asked them to stay. Brother Xie, Brother Oyu, take care. I still have something to say. These 2 are very valuable. Wouldn't it be too easy for them to leave? What's the matter? The 2 looked at him vigilantly. They didn't dare to underestimate King of Hell Chu, who had just come up from the lower 3 heavens. This person's means can be described as terrifying. Chu Yang warmly smiled and said, I just want to remind you 2 that the world-defying heavens has the most. In fact, the 2 of you can also use other things to replace these silvers. You don't need to gather such a huge amount of silvers. So, hehe, I consider you 2 friends. Talking about money hurts your feelings, so, let's not talk about money. Xiedan Qiong and Oyu Du Xiao's eyes lit up at the same time. They asked, Brother Chu, what do you mean? I mean, for example, some strange elixirs, precious crystals, and materials, for example, exquisite grass, intermittent root, 7-colored jade, purple crystal, red crystal, blue crystal, star iron, nightmare steel, volcanic silver, netherworld gold. Hey. I also want as much as I can get. It wouldn't be impossible for us to make another deal if the two of you still have a lot of money on hand after paying off your gambling debts. Even if it's a long-term cooperation. I'm also very willing to establish a cooperative relationship with two trustworthy friends. Chu Yang smiled reservedly. Don't worry. This Chu won't let the two of you suffer a loss. No matter if the two of you pay off your debt or if we trade after the debt is paid off, I'll buy it at a price 20% higher than the market price. If the materials are extremely rare, I will buy them all at double the price. What do you think? What Chu Yang didn't lack the most right now was gold, silver, and gold notes. He was extremely rich and overbearing. To him, these were just rubbish. He wouldn't feel the pinch no matter how much he threw away, not to mention exchanging it for some valuable materials. Before he could finish his sentence, the two men's eyes had already brightened up. When he finished his sentence, the words 20% higher than the market price had opened the eyes of the two men, and a golden path had appeared in their eyes, not to mention the subsequent doubling. How much is 20% of the market price? It could be said that if he sold something worth 1 billion yuan, he would have an additional 200 million yuan. How much wealth was that? The two great clans had hundreds of years of accumulation. These things could be said to be enormous. Some things were precious, but they couldn't be used. It would be a pity to throw them away. Moreover, the most important thing for the clans to develop their military power was money. Similarly, the most important things were the crystal stones, the inner cores of spirit beasts, and the elixirs that could assist in cultivation. Of course, these things were also rich. There was no problem in shifting them out a little. As for the so-called star iron, nightmare steel, volcanic silver, netherworld steel, and so on, they knew that these things were good, but they couldn't be used. There was nothing wrong with taking them out and selling them. The key point was that the price wasn't suitable. That's why they couldn't be sold, but this sucker before them was buying them at a price 20% higher than the market price. Wasn't this a good thing that was hard to come by? Good. It's a deal as long as Brother Chu keeps his word. Xiedan Qiong and Oyu Du Xiao felt as if a big stone had been lifted from their hearts. The clan's vitality had already been greatly damaged. So, the clan's business would inevitably be in a mess for at least a year if they were to fork out more than 500 million yuan. This was a big and fatal problem at this critical moment. However, there wouldn't be any problem if they were to use these things to pay off the debt. Brother Chu, when do you plan to make the deal? Both of them were somewhat impatient. Chu Yang smiled amiably and said, I remember that the Xie clan and the Oyu clan are on the road to the north. We can make the deal at any time if we arrive there. Chu Yang chuckled, we might as well travel together. Moreover, I've heard that Dark Bamboo Duke Yu was born in the extreme north. Jiyu Du Xing, Dong Wu Shong, and Jimo looked at each other. They thought, it seems that Big Brother has made up his mind. He's going to talk about it along the way. Xiedan Qiong and Oyu Du Xiao left feeling happy and relieved. They couldn't help but be happy. Not only did they solve a crisis, but they also found a new source of wealth for the clan. Chu Yang smiled as he watched the two leave. Then, he turned his head towards Jimo and said, Jimo, you must remember that Mo Tianyun wants to steal the divine saber of the Mo clan. You must inform Mo Tianji in a timely manner. I believe that Mo Tianji will make Mo Tianyun very happy. But, you must also tell him that I must have Qing Wu's saber. Chu Yang's eyes flashed with a luster of determination as he spoke in a heavy and resolute manner. Big brother, I'm afraid that your billions won't be enough to spend if you want to purchase these things. Jiyu Du Xing hesitated. Do you want me to transfer some from the clan? Jimo, Dong Wu Shong, and Luo Kudi also nodded in succession. They clearly had the same idea. They didn't understand why Chu Yang wanted these things. But, they chose to support him unconditionally. Big brother can do whatever he wants. These were the thoughts of these people. Jiyu Du Xing's words were very reasonable. Everyone knew that these strange things were treasures. There was no such market for them. However, their prices were sky high. For example, a fist-sized piece of star iron was worth hundreds of thousands of silver taels. The more precious ones were like nightmare steel. A small piece was worth millions of silver taels. As for top-notch materials like red cloud steel, a piece the size of a human head should be worth tens of millions of silver taels. Although Chu Yang's current wealth was substantial, if he wanted to purchase all these things, it would be far, 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 far from enough. Chu Yang laughed mischievously. It's easy to not have enough silver taels. In the three heavens, the strong are respected. It's quite possible for us to plunder some wealth along the way. For example, we can steal, rob, and teach them a lesson. That's a source of wealth. The four brothers were stunned. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Big brother, what should we do next? Luo Kudi was concerned about this question. Should we follow our clans or should we form a gang on our own? Chu Yang said in a relaxed manner, this depends on what you guys think. I want to go alone. Dong Wu Shong said firmly. Me too. Jimo said. Me too. Me too. Luo Kudi quickly responded. Tell me your reasons. Chu Yang knew that their so-called going alone meant that they wanted to be with him and leave their clans. Regarding this, he didn't show any expression. Chu Yang wasn't like his brothers who would give up anything for him. Therefore, he said, even if we follow our clans, we're still going in the same direction. We can still see each other every day. I don't feel well. Dong Wu Shong's eyes showed pain. I'm willing to give up everything for my clan. But there are some things that I can't bear. But I have no other choice. Chu Yang nodded in understanding. Dong Wu Shong should be talking about his elder brother, Dong Wu Lei. He pondered for a while. Then, he chose a fair angle and said, Wu Shong, your elder brother still loves you very much. However, there were some things that a person in power had to have. You have to understand this. It's because I understand that I'm in pain. Dong Wu Shong also sighed. Me too. Elder brother is very good to me. But, my existence will threaten him. Luo Kudi raised his hand and said, also, what he did today makes me very uncomfortable. So, I have to leave for a few days to let him reflect. This was somewhat similar to a child's quarrel. His words made several people laugh. I don't want to go with the clan because my elder brother is too lazy. Jimo hung his head dejectedly. The most diligent thing he's doing now is to think of ways to make me the Grand Duke in his place. I'm really scared. Can I be the clan lord with this kind of material? It's simply a joke. I don't want to care about the clan's trivial matters. I want to fight in the martial world, have no worries, hug my wife, go everywhere, go home when I miss home, be filial to my parents, stay for a few days, and then go out to have fun. This is the life I want. Everyone was speechless. You guys can easily follow your elder brother to have fun. But, what about me? Jiyu Duxing was somewhat angry. Someone killed 2 people. The direct consequence is that I'm tied to the clan. Do you think I'll abandon the Jiyu clan? What's wrong with that? Luo Kudi put his arm around his shoulder. We brothers will cover our faces, and follow your Jiyu clan's troops. Then, we'll walk faster than the other clans. Wouldn't it be the best of both worlds as long as we don't expose our identities? Jimo's eyes lit up and he said, you're right. Besides, our heavenly armament pavilion should be awe-inspiring in the 3 heavens. How about we all cover our faces or make masks? Then, we'll rob and steal together. Everyone's eyes lit up together. Good. We, the heavenly armament pavilion, will begin to show our faces from tomorrow onward. Chu Yang pondered for a while and said, all right. Then, I'll make some small things tonight as the heavenly armament pavilion's symbol. All the brothers cheered. Chapter 471. The troops of Dark Bamboo left Mount Dingjun as soon as possible. They didn't even greet anyone before they left. Little you, how was our harvest this time? Jun Shiju insipidly asked. Not bad. Our total income is more than 3 billion. We recruited 11 king-level experts, and 45 venerable-level experts. Dukyu faintly smiled and said, several emperor-level experts have appeared. However, they are all people of big clans. I have no interest in making a move against them. Jun Shizhu nodded with a smile and said, it's already good. The harvest this time was beyond my expectations. She pondered for a moment. Then, she changed the subject and said, you went to see that King of Hell Chu. If my guess is right, most of this fight should be King of Hell Chu's handiwork. What do you think? Dukyu frowned and said, yes. I didn't see anything else. But, King of Hell Chu's grasp of human nature is extremely accurate. Moreover, King of Hell Chu is a person who only believes in his own strength. The possibility of him accepting outside help isn't very big. Jun Shizhu replied with an "oh." She then fell into contemplation. She said after a long while, send someone to watch him. People always have weaknesses. And, they always need help. It's better to do this than to say it in advance. This good karma must be formed. Dukyu sighed and said, it's not good to not form this good karma. After all, he's my creditor now. Creditor? Jun Shizhu twisted her eyebrows and said, you lost to him? Dukyu spread out his hands. Did you think that Jiao Sheng would lose to Jimo before this fight? Jun Shizhu smiled, so, that's how it is. She pondered for a moment. She recalled the state of Jiao Sheng and Jimo when they had first entered the arena. Then, she sighed and said, no. Dukyu sighed, I also thought that he wouldn't. So, I lost. Moreover, the most depressing thing is, that bastard Jiao Sheng obviously had a big killing weapon. But, he was defeated by anger. He didn't even use his killing move. That's why I'm so depressed. You mean that Jiao Sheng has successfully practiced that mysterious martial art of the Jiao clan? Jun Shizhu's eyes turned sharp. He hasn't practiced it. He can practice it. Dukyu said, but, it's easy to deal with Jimo even though he has just entered the entry level. However, this martial art required a state of mind of ice and snow in order to unleash its power. The moment he went on stage, he was as angry as an exploding pig. How was he supposed to use it? I'm so angry, so angry. Thinking about how he had originally obtained those 2 pieces of jade at the lowest price, but now, he had to pay such a high price. Moreover, all of this was because Jiao Sheng could win, but didn't. Dukyu wanted to vomit blood. It would be strange if King of Hell Chu didn't ferociously search my tongue on the way to the northernmost region given his personality. When Dukyu thought about how his wealth was about to shrink because of an injustice, he wanted to tear Jiao Sheng apart alive. Jun Shizhu faintly replied with an "oh." Then, she began to ponder. It was unknown what she was thinking. Dukyu looked at her expression, examined the world-defying stage for a while, and said, how have you been recently? Jun Shizhu knitted her brows in a tired manner. She then said, I'm fine. Let's see if this spirit beast disappoints me or not. Dukyu revealed a pensive look in his eyes. He then said, I'm afraid that there's something fishy about the appearance of a spirit beast in the northernmost region this time. You have to be fully prepared. Jun Shizhu closed her eyes and said, what's not fishy? We've come here from a fishy place. You have to take good care of Lu when the time comes. You can make your move if I don't succeed. Dukyu exposed a warm smile and said, I'm going to Lu's side. Jun Shizhu didn't speak. Dukyu quietly disappeared. Chu Yang had been busy in the middle of the night to make this mask. It was neither gold nor silver, and was extremely exquisite. It didn't feel suffocating when worn on the face. Instead, it felt relaxed and comfortable. Well, it was natural to prepare some heavenly weapons since it was the heavenly armament pavilion. Therefore, Chu Yang concocted a pile of short sabers and short swords. These sabers were truly short. In fact, they were almost pocket-sized. The longest one was as long as a palm, and the shortest one was as big as a finger. Finally, he made several tokens. Clouds and mist were curling up on them. A sword was flashing with golden light in the midst of the clouds and mist. It was faintly discernible. It was unparalleled in the world. The 3 words Heavenly Armament Pavilion were engraved in a flamboyant style. The word 1 was engraved in a circle at the bottom left. The first token of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion went all the way to the command token. Chu Yang decided that this should be it for the time being. The quality of the soldiers was more important than the quantity. The brothers would enter the world hand in hand. Early the next morning, Chu Yang issued this token to everyone. Jiyu Duxing was number 2, Ji Mo was number 3, Dong Wu Shong was number 4, Luo Ku Di was number 5, and Ayu Biyu Tong was number 6. Rui Biyu Tong wasn't here. So, Chu Yang kept his token for the time being. There's one thing you must remember. Chu Yang said seriously, there's a purple crystal space inside this token that can be opened. I've put a life-saving pill inside. If you encounter any unexpected situation, take the pill and escape immediately, he said heavily. The Heavenly Armament Pavilion belongs to our world-defying heavens. But, I don't want you to get hurt. No matter what the situation is, you must remember that your life is the most precious. Missions and organizations are all fleeting cloud. I want to move unhindered with my brothers. I don't want to cry and take revenge while hugging my brothers' corpses. Do you remember? Yes. The 4 of them answered together. At this moment, everyone's eyes were shining. From these words, they could clearly feel Chu Yang's intentions. Next, everyone was given a short knife and a short sword. Although they were small, they could cut through iron like mud. They were even sharper than their own long swords. Luo Ku Di and Ji Mo turned them over and over again. Dong Wu Shong and Jiyu Duxing took a look and kept them. Then, the masks were given out one by one. The brothers' masks were all different. Dong Wu Shong and Jiyu Duxing had grim expressions on their faces, while Luo Ku Di and Jiyu Duxing were smiling from ear to ear. As for Chu Yang himself, he was expressionless. Everyone liked it very much. Big brother, what's the purpose of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion? Jimo asked. This question was obviously what everyone was most concerned about. They all raised their heads and looked at Chu Yang. The temporary purpose is to expand and recruit experts. The ultimate purpose is to conquer the 3 heavens. Chu Yang said casually, for us, as long as we quickly increase our strength, it should be very easy. It should be very easy. The 4 of them were dumbstruck as they looked at Chu Yang. Big brother Chu, these words are really easy to say. Among the younger generation, you can be considered as one of the best. But in the 3 heavens, I am nothing. Right now, we have to spread the name of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Chu Yang cautiously reminded, before your strength reaches a certain level, don't reveal your true identity. He didn't need to say this. Everyone understood. From today onwards, the Heavenly Armament Pavilion will take action. Then, in the near future, I will use all means to carry out special training for all of you. Chu Yang's eyes were burning. Your cultivation progress is really too slow. The 4 of them were speechless. Our current progress has already scared a lot of people in the 3 heavens. But, compared to Big Brother, it is indeed a little slow. The shortest is half a year. The latest is 1 year. Rush to the Emperor level. Then, rush to the Monarch level. Chu Yang's eyes were like lightning. Train under my command. After a year, whoever is below the Emperor level will automatically become a logistician of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. They will serve the brothers. Any service. Even Jiyu Duxing and Dong Wu Shong were surprised by such a goal. This was simply unrealistic, as if it was a dream. Even Jiyu Duxing and Dong Wu Shong were confident that they could reach the Emperor level within 10 years. In fact, it would be very good if they could reach the Emperor level within 10 years. But, Big Brother had actually proposed a goal of 1 year. Wasn't this too outrageous? Believe me, I can do it. I can make you do it. Chu Yang looked at the 4 of them. Before meeting me, did you think that you could reach your current level in such a short time? The 4 of them lowered their heads and pondered. Yes, before meeting Big Brother, who would have thought that they could reach the king level from the great master level in a year and a half? This was something that they wouldn't have dared to dream about. Chu Yang smiled mischievously. The facts will prove to you. It's useless to say more now. Do you still remember my training method? From today onwards, every day will be the same. Half of you will go out, and the other half will train. And so on. And so, the matter was settled. They had been hurrying on the road for the entire day. The Jiyu clan had already pulled some distance away from the other clans. It was worth mentioning that Chu Yang had gotten 5 pieces of star steel, each weighing 500 kilograms. Then, he had given each of them one piece to carry on their journey. They weren't allowed to ride horses. They could only walk on foot. Dong Wushong was the most miserable. That was because he had a huge saber weighing 570 kilograms. Moreover, Chu Yang had a strict rule: even if you die of exhaustion, you mustn't breathe carelessly. Chu Yang also carried a piece of star steel on his back. Mo Qingwu followed beside Chu Yang, smiling cheerfully. She accompanied him all the way. Whenever she saw sweat on Chu Yang's forehead, she would quickly take out a handkerchief and carefully wipe it for him. Chu Yang had wanted to let her sit in a carriage. But the sword spirit firmly stopped him. Let her run. Slowly exhaust her physical strength and martial arts until her 3-yin meridian reaches its limit. Then, let her injuries flare up again. That way, we can treat her in advance. After running for the entire morning, when it was time for lunch, even someone like Jiyu Duxing didn't sweat anymore. At first, he used his spiritual energy. Later on, his spiritual energy was used up. Then, he used his physical strength. Then, his physical strength was used up again. Just by running for the entire morning, Jiyu Duxing actually felt that he had broken through the limits of his physical body a few times. Dong Wushong was even worse. When he was eating, his legs were trembling slightly. He drank half a vat of water in one go. When Jimo and Luo Kudi arrived, they almost fainted. They hurriedly wanted to take this big thing off their bodies. But they were sternly stopped by Chu Yang. Eat, drink, and rest. No one is allowed to take it off. This sentence made Jimo and Luo Kudi howl in grief at the same time. This chapter is a bit dull as a foreshadowing and a wedge for the subsequent plot. But it can't be too little. I tried to write it as simply as possible. I revised it for a long time. But this chapter really can't be written other than preparation and foreshadowing. Chapter 472. Chu Yang was also very tired, but he had to endure it. If he showed any signs of not being able to bear it, then this training session would end without any results. They ate lunch and rested for more than an hour. This little bit of time was insignificant for the 4 people who had just been tortured. In the afternoon, they started to run for their lives again. Jiyu Duxing, Dong Wushong, Jimo, and Luo Kudi were even more desperate. Because Boss Chu had said, "When you guys were martial great masters, I was a martial warrior. But now, we are at the same level. You guys are not working hard, so it can be seen from this. From now on, if my cultivation is 1 level higher than yours, then I will add another 100 kilograms to your back. If you are 2 levels higher, then you will add another 100 kilograms, and so on and so forth." These words made the brothers speechless. Chu Yang's speed was monstrous. Wouldn't they be looking for trouble if they tried to compete with him? But Boss Chu was right. They were also human. Their fast progress was due to their diligence. If they were overtaken again, they would lose face. The consequence of this was that by the afternoon, the few of them were on the verge of collapsing. After eating dinner, they rested until their bodies were no longer sweating. Chu Yang then showed mercy and let the brothers put down the star iron. Once they put it down, their bodies immediately became light as if they were about to fly away. Luo Kudi lay on the ground facing the sky and let out a long sigh. He sighed and said, "This is happiness." Jimo looked at him with disdain. He really didn't have the strength to say anything. "Damn it, you don't feel happy even when you eat all kinds of delicacies. Today, you put down a big stone and you are happy. I can't help but want to add 2 sentences here, not counting the words. When I was in the army, I trained for more than 12 hours a day. Every day I was so tired that I wanted to die. But when I lay on the bed at night, I immediately felt a kind of touching happiness. Especially when my back touched the bedboard, I felt so happy that I almost fainted. Haha, I miss that feeling so much." After resting for a while, Chu Yang, the highest leader of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, took Dong Wushong and Jimo out. The 3 of them started to make a name for themselves. Only Jiyu Duxing and Luo Kudi were left in the Jiyu clan's tent. Jiyu Duxing sat cross-legged in meditation, working hard to circulate his energy. He could feel that today's training had made him extremely tired. Although he had broken through a few limits, there was no obvious effect. Instead, it made his body more burdened. She recalled Chu Yang's words, "This kind of training will definitely be difficult to adapt to in the beginning." But once he got used to it, it was only after 7 days that he could clearly see where his improvement was. All his sweat was not for nothing. Luo Kudi, on the other hand, was pacing back and forth with his hands behind his back. The 10 sovereigns of the Jiyu clan looked at their young master and his friends with a complicated expression. Everyone's eyes were filled with admiration. No one dared to even think about such training. It would really tire them to death. However, these youngsters didn't hesitate and risked their lives. Even when they were young, when they were most fearless, how many of them were able to do this? He had become a king-level expert at the age of 10 or 20. So, how could he have achieved it by relying on his family's status and luck? Then, Jiyu Duxing began to talk to the 10 king-level experts of his clan one by one. He wanted to understand everyone's mentality and arouse everyone's lofty sentiments. Jiyu Duxing had a thought: tie the Jiyu clan to the Heavenly Armament Pavilion's world-defying heavens. This might be the only way out for the Jiyu clan. During these days in the upper 3 heavens, Jiyu Duxing felt the awkwardness of the Jiyu clan. Almost every other clan had an emperor-level expert overseeing the clan, only the Jiyu clan didn't have one. It was true that he was doing well among the younger generation of the upper 3 heavens. But, what would he do if the emperor-level expert of the other clans made a move? Therefore, many clan masters couldn't compare to him at all. But, their backs were strong. This had nothing to do with one's cultivation. It was completely due to their solid foundation. Foundation. This was the true wealth of a clan. Wanting to rely on one's own efforts to develop the clan was simply unrealistic. But, the Heavenly Armament Pavilion had created such an opportunity. Jiyu Duxing firmly believed that Chu Yang would definitely lead the Heavenly Armament Pavilion into the upper 3 heavens. If the Jiyu clan's experts could enter the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, it would be better than fighting alone. Then, it would be much better than fighting alone. Moreover, it could also be considered as giving an account to his foster father. Therefore, Jiyu Duxing put all of his efforts into the 3 words Heavenly Armament Pavilion. If it succeeded, it would succeed. If it didn't, it would be a struggle for him and his brothers. Whether it succeeded or not, having this experience in this life, having such a magnificent feat, and having brothers to accompany him, he would have no regrets in this life. Recently, there was news from the clan that Sister Xiao Miao's situation had improved a lot. With his rising fame, Sister Xiao Miao had been released from the cold ice cave. But, she was confined at home and was not allowed to show her face in public. It was obvious that the old guys in the clan were still angry. But, Jiyu Duxing was already very satisfied in his heart. He was very relieved. Wait until I reach the emperor level. I will immediately marry Sister Xiao Miao. Be my wife. As for those old fogies in the clan, they can retire. While Jiyu Duxing was working hard, Chu Yang and the other 2 were also wantonly sweeping and robbing. Along the way, everyone was going to the extreme north. None of them were mediocre. Of course, the value of their belongings was also not low. From time to time, some of them would come alone or in groups of 3 or 5. Then, they would be captured and robbed. Moreover, the robbers were very open and above board. They would wear strange masks, throw down the 3 words Heavenly Armament Pavilion, and swagger away. Only the people who had been robbed were left behind. They wanted to cry, but had no tears. Some of them resisted fiercely. In fact, some of them even put their lives in danger. From this night onwards, this road was bound to be filled with fear and trepidation. The powerful appearance of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, and the actions of the hoodlums and robbers, had made countless people's complexions change. When the news of a 7th-grade king-level expert being robbed came out, everyone was full of shock. Heavenly Armament Pavilion. What kind of organization is this? It was already late at night. Everyone was quietly resting. Suddenly, a white shadow came from behind. It was faintly discernible and graceful. It was like an immortal riding on the waves. It suddenly descended from the sky with the wind. This person was a graceful woman. Moreover, It was obvious that she had chased them from Mount Dingjun. She had broken into the camps of several clans along the way. After entering, she asked, "Who knows Chu Yang? Is Chu Yang here?" At most, she would add an explanation. "He is the man who has just exposed the evil of the Meng clan on Mount Dingjun." Most people didn't know who Chu Yang was. Therefore, she inquired and chased him all the way. She finally caught up with the people of the Ao clan when the curtain of night fell. This woman's cultivation was very high. At least, the experts of the Ao clan felt that her aura was very strong. They couldn't match her strength. Therefore, Ao Xie personally came out to negotiate. "Chu Yang?" Ao Xie frowned. "Why are you looking for him?" "I want to settle an account with him." That woman snorted and replied. "He isn't here. You can look for the teams of the Ji clan, Luo clan, Jiyu clan, and Dong clan if you want to look for him. Brother Chu must be in one of those clans." Ao Xie politely pointed out the direction. Therefore, the white-clothed woman immediately left. Then, she looked for the slowest Ji clan. Grand Duke Ji Zhu was drowsy. So, he obviously didn't know. Therefore, she left and went forward. This woman was Yang Ruolan. She had just returned from the lower three heavens. After passing through the lower three heavens, she naturally wanted to settle the account with that heartless man of her junior sister. She had never seen such a heartless man before. Not only did he not have the slightest bit of tenderness and sweetness, he even acted as if he did not know anything at all. There were many things that he didn't know. But, could he be irresponsible just because he didn't know? That was his child. Yang Ruolan remembered that she had lost her child, and had been depressed all these years. She had always been frowning. She had wanted to find her child, but hadn't been able to. So, she hated these irresponsible people who didn't know how to cherish their child. How enviable was this familial happiness that everyone envied? How could you be so wasteful? Yang Ruolan really wanted to grab Chu Yang and ask him, "Are you still a human? Do you still have any conscience?" After passing by the teams of the Luo clan and the Dong clan, Yang Ruolan finally had a clear target. It seemed that he should be at the Jiyu clan. The next step was easy. After passing by a team, she asked, "Are they from the Jiyu clan?" If they weren't, she continued to chase. She chased until the middle of the night. Then, she finally saw a campsite in front. Yang Ruolan floated down and walked towards the campsite. At this moment, Luo Kudi had just strolled back to his tent. He was waiting for Chu Yang and the others to come back. He was fantasizing in his heart. "Robbing, that would be fun. I don't know if I can get a share of the loot when I come back." He became dispirited as he thought about it. Occasionally, he would go out for a stroll. He saw that the moon was high in the sky. But, they hadn't come back yet. So, he decided to sleep. At this moment, he heard a cold and pleasant voice from outside. "May I ask if this is the Jiyu clan's residence?" Luo Kudi was startled. He replied reflexively, "Yes. Who are you?" "I finally found him." Yang Ruolan heaved a sigh of relief. "There's someone called Chu Yang. Is he here?" Luo Kudi laughed and said, "Awu who's looking for me?" He wanted to say, "Who's looking for my big brother?" But, Jiyu Duxing had already woken up. He heard that someone was looking for Chu Yang in the middle of the night. He couldn't help but shiver. He grabbed Luo Kudi's arm and said in a low voice, "Don't reveal Big Brother's whereabouts. Ask her what she wants first." But, Jiyu Duxing stopped him a little too late. Luo Kudi had already said half of what he wanted to say. Therefore, it should have been, "Who's looking for my big brother?" But, after swallowing the second half, it became, "Who's looking for me?" This wasn't the same meaning at all. It was completely at odds with each other. Completely at odds with each other. The person outside seemed to be startled. Then, she said, "You're Chu Yang?" Her voice had already become cold. It was filled with a murderous aura that was about to explode. "So, she's here to seek revenge?" Luo Kudi was immediately filled with pride. "Motherfucker, Big Brother isn't here. Let me deal with her for him. She dares to seek revenge in front of us brothers. Motherfucker, she must have eaten a leopard's guts. If I don't teach her a lesson, How can I show off my unrivaled prestige? Luo Ku Di lifted the tent and walked out. He raised his nose to the sky and asked arrogantly, Awu, Awu. Wahahaha, beauty, are you looking for me, Chu Yang? Ha 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 ha. This Chu Yang is actually such a bastard. Yang Ruolan was so angry that she almost fainted. Junior sister, what kind of taste do you have? Chapter 473. Big brother, what should we do? Dong Wu Shong asked in a low voice. Chu Yang pondered for a moment and said, I haven't asked what that spirit beast is. But it seems that it's very important to the Meng clan. Moreover, I'm afraid that it's useful to all the clans. Otherwise, that old man wouldn't have said the words even if we have to risk our lives. Dong Wu Shong and Ji Mo nodded. Every clan of the three heavens has many king-level experts like this. But it would be a big mistake to say that they can be sacrificed at will. That's because these clans are basically supported by king-level experts. And they are backed by emperor-level experts. But it's unknown if there are more powerful ones. Wu Shong, there's no harm in talking about this matter, Chu Yang said. Dong Wu Shong nodded and said, Big brother, there's a legend that you must know. It's that there used to be a big race in this layered heavens. And we humans are just a kind of them. And Meng Luo's kind of cultivation is clearly the remnant of the demon race. And there used to be a beast race. The present spirit beasts are the remnant bloodline of the original beast race. However, they are far from their original status. And there are very few transformed spirit beasts. In other words, the inheritance of the beast race doesn't exist in the three heavens. But the beast race used to produce heroes in large numbers when it was flourishing. Some powerful beast race used to take human women as concubines. And they multiplied and multiplied. Various races used to intermarry during the most chaotic times. So, the bloodlines became somewhat complicated as a result. Chu Yang nodded and listened patiently. There used to be a powerhouse who accidentally found a dying spirit beast. He drank its blood and refined its inner core. Then, he found that he had inadvertently opened a new door. Dong Wu Shong took a deep breath and said, It's a bloodline inheritance. Since then, humans have come to know that, sometimes, they can obtain formidable abilities by taking the blood of spirit beasts. And they can reach the heavens in a single bound if they can comprehend the strength of the beast race. And they can become experts. Therefore, the spirit beasts of the layered heavens have suffered since then. Chu Yang frowned and asked, How many times has this kind of thing happened? There are always dozens of cases. Moreover, some of them even wrote down their personal experiences. Dong Wushang laughed bitterly and said, So, this matter is irrefutable. Although there are quite a number of third heaven spirit beasts, there aren't many that are above the 7th grade. As for spirit beasts below the 7th grade, even if they were swallowed whole, they might not be able to activate any bloodline or obtain any inheritance. Now that a spirit beast has appeared, all the big clans will try their luck no matter what. Even if they can only obtain a little blood of a spirit beast, it will still be a little more hope, Dong Wushang sighed. Chu Yang nodded silently, I see. What would happen if I were to obtain the heritage and awaken my bloodline? 300 years ago, there were 2 clans in the upper 3 heavens. One was the Miao clan, and the other was the Mu clan. Both of them had activated their bloodline, and obtained the inheritance of the beasts. They directly swept through the upper 3 heavens, and finally brought their clans to kill their way to the upper 3 heavens. This shows how terrifying it is. Dong Wushang revealed an envious look in his eyes. After all, leading a clan to kill their way to the upper 3 heavens was the lead of every clan in the upper 3 heavens. He continued, the 2 clans caused a huge uproar in the upper 3 heavens. The Miao clan was recognized by the Li clan as an ally. Later, they became in-laws, and changed their name to Li. But 100 years later, they were expelled by the Li clan, and more than half of their experts were killed. They returned to the upper 3 heavens, and became the Li clan today. Li Xiongtu's clan, the other clan, the Mu clan, is smarter. It is still in the upper 3 heavens. I heard that it has become a second-class clan in the upper three heavens. Dong Wushang laughed mischievously. Chu Yang nodded. He took a deep breath and said, I finally understand. No wonder the birth of a second-grade spirit beast has caused such a huge uproar. It's not a big uproar. Who doesn't want to rush to the upper three heavens? Even if they go to the upper three heavens to be slaves, they will still fucking do it. Dong Wushang spat. You don't want to? Chu Yang smiled and asked, You don't want to lead the Dong clan to the upper three heavens? Dong Wushang's thick eyebrows raised and said, Of course I want to. But, I don't want to go to the upper three heavens as a slave. He said in a low and deep voice, I once thought that if I, Dong Wushang, want to go to the upper three heavens, then, I'll trample over a clan in the upper three heavens. And, I'll replace them. If I can't, then, I'd rather not go. Chu Yang patted his shoulder. He faintly smiled and said, You can do it. Ji Mo suddenly interjected from the side, You don't want to be a slave. But, it doesn't mean that your clan doesn't want to. Wushang, I'm afraid that it won't be up to you even if you don't want to when that time comes. Dong Wushang looked up to the sky and heaved a long sigh. He patted his black saber with a desolate look on his face. It hasn't come to that time yet. Chu Yang insipidly said, Besides, even if it comes to that time, it may not necessarily be the case. Come, let's go back. Chu Yang stood up. Big brother, what about the Meng clan's matter? Ji Mo was startled. Send a letter to Jukyu after we go back. Chu Yang said in a soft voice, I believe that he will know what to do. Moreover, let Du Xing leave behind a few people. Tell him that the Meng clan is ahead of us. And, they may have already obtained the spirit beast's blood. Or, they may have obtained it very early. We don't need to do anything. The Meng clan has a bad reputation. Sometimes, you don't have to do it yourself to kill someone. Ji Mo prostrated himself in admiration. Big brother is really smart. You're treacherous to a certain extent. The three of them returned to the Jiyu clan's tent. They found that the tent was in a mess. They couldn't help but be shocked. He quickly rushed in. They saw Luoku Di lying inside. It was too horrible to look at. Chu Yang got angry and asked, What happened? Jiyu Du Xing wanted to say something, but then hesitated. He stood up. He felt that it wasn't appropriate to speak. So, he coughed a few times. Then, he recounted everything that had happened a moment ago. Chu Yang immediately flew into a rage. What do you mean by rape and then abandon? Where did this come from? This is going too far. That woman should be an emperor-level expert. Jiyu Du Xing reminded. Emperor-level expert? It's not like I haven't killed an emperor-level expert. Chu Yang's eyes turned cold. Which direction did she go? How are the injuries of the wolf cub? The injuries aren't serious. This woman had a sense of propriety. Jiyu Du Xing said, They're basically flesh wounds. The biggest consequence is that he will suffer for a few days. He will be in endless pain. But, he didn't suffer any serious injuries. It's just that his ribs are a bit troublesome. The wolf cub said that they were broken. But, I checked and found that they weren't broken. I don't know what method she used to soften his ribs. So, two of them are stuck together. I'm afraid that this wolf cub would suffer a lot if we were to break them apart. Jiyu Du Xing was also somewhat baffled. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This guy is really. Why didn't he just say that I wasn't here and ask that woman to wait for a while? Why did he have to take the blame for me? Chu Yang sighed. His heart felt warm. My brother would rather be killed than take the blame for me. Let me take a look at the wolf cub's injuries. Wu Shong, you tell Du Xing about what happened just now. Chu Yang squatted down. Then, he mobilized his spiritual power in his palm, and penetrated it into Luoku Di's body. Luoku Di mischievously smiled. It's okay, big brother. I would have let you come if I had known that she only wanted to beat you up. Haha, this feeling is really not good. Awu, shut up. Such a serious injury can't make you talk less. Chu Yang felt angry and amused at the same time. This guy's clowning had become a habit. He took out an incomplete version of the heavy pill from his bosom. Then, He made this guy open his mouth, and threw it in. Then, he waited for the medicinal effect to circulate throughout his body. Then, he suddenly put his hands on his chest. Then, he separated the two ribs with a pop sound. Awu! Luo Kudii roared in pain. His face was full of sweat. So cool. The brothers couldn't help but laugh. Chu Yang angrily glared at him. Then, he carefully examined him again. He found that there were no other injuries. There were only small dislocations in other places. Luo Kudii moved a few times. Then, he jumped up. His toes touched the ground. He twisted a few times, and moved his ankle. He couldn't help but click his tongue in wonder. It doesn't hurt at all. It's really strange. It's a pity. What's a pity? Jimo asked with a sidelong glance. Luo Kudii's face turned gloomy. Motherfucker, how come my feet don't hurt? It would have been great if my feet still hurt. Why? Even Dong Wushong was somewhat puzzled this time. How can you hope that your injuries won't get better? If my feet still hurt, I won't have to run with 1,000 pounds on my back tomorrow. Luo Kudii dejectedly said, I can ride on a horse and enjoy the sight of you carrying a mountain on your back. I can drink wine and eat meat. I can laugh and cheer you on. Before he could finish speaking, Jimo and Dong Wushong greeted him with punches and kicks. Suddenly, the brothers were in a mess. Mo Tianyun spurred his horse as fast as he could. He led his entourage of experts, and rushed back to his clan in a dejected manner. Mo Tianji was also madly rushing back to his clan in another direction. This was the first time in history that two brothers had returned home at the same time. Mo Tianyun was unlucky along the way. He was so irritated that he started to kill people. Many people believed that Mo Tianyun had deliberately released a smokescreen when he had gambled on Mount Dingjun because Jiu Duxing wasn't injured at all. Motherfucker! Mo Tianyun had released such fake news. He was also the banker. Who knows how much he had made from this gamble? Therefore, Mo Tianyun was a millionaire in the eyes of many people even though he was as poor as a church mouse. He was an incomparably fat piece of meat. The anger of being deceived, coupled with the greed for wealth, Mo Tianyun had already encountered 7 or 8 groups of people along the way. This had made Mo Tianyun want to vomit blood. Moreover, Mo Tianyun's mood had become even more gloomy as another piece of news had slowly spread over the past 3 days. It had reached the point where he couldn't feel better unless he committed suicide. Duke Tu Qianhao of the Tu clan had issued a bounty 3 days ago. Whoever could catch Mo Tianyun and let Duke Tu vent his anger would be rewarded with 10 million. This price wasn't low at all. It had made Duke Missouri Tianyun's journey even more difficult. There are only 2 updates today. There is one more thing that needs to be explained. I may stay up all night tonight. Tomorrow's update will be very early, because I will go to Jinan to pick up someone. Cough cough. A brother has gone to Japan to work. He will return home tomorrow. I haven't seen him for several years. So, I must go. Chapter 474. The 7 fragrances bewitching spell could paralyze one's entire body. As long as one's cultivation wasn't at the monarch level, one couldn't use the spirit sea gathering technique. No one was an exception, even if one was at the peak of the emperor level. Mo Wuxin's entire body was trembling. He shouldn't be trembling after being hit by the 7 fragrances bewitching spell. However, he was so agitated that he managed to suppress the effects of the 7 fragrances bewitching spell. Although his entire body was still stiff and unable to move, he couldn't help but tremble instinctively. He couldn't speak anymore. However, there was a trace of regret in his eyes. He really wanted to say something. He had so many things to say. However, he couldn't say anything. He wanted to say, "You're not Mo Xingchen's son. You're my grandson. You're my son, Mo Xinghai's son. You're my direct descendant. When Mo Xingchen's wife gave birth, I took control of the entire Mo family and swapped you with the newborn baby. You're not Mo Xingchen's son. You're my grandson. For the sake of your position in the Mo family, this old man killed all those people. I even drowned the newborn baby and killed your own mother." Yi Mo thought to himself. Yi Mo shook his head. "A few years ago, your father, Mo Xinghai, died in an accident. I was the only one who knew about your origins. I've been good to you since you were young. Is there no reason? I'm an emperor-level expert. I'm supreme in the Mo family. Why would I be a dog for a kid who's still wet behind the ears? Am I really that cheap? Is there no reason? Is there no reason? Is there no reason? He was screaming in his heart. However, he couldn't say a single word. He had schemed against the Mo family for a generation. Who would have thought that he would die in the hands of his own grandson? That he would die in the hands of his own grandson whom he had nurtured with all his might. I've put in so much effort for him. I've racked my brains for him. I've killed countless people for him. I've been unreasonable. I've even done all sorts of bad things for him. And he's killed me in the end. Mo Wuxin suddenly felt that it was funny. This matter was too funny and ironic. If he could speak now, he would have laughed out loud. Laughing at the heavens, laughing at fate. Old dog, you still think it's funny? Mo Tianyun ferociously looked at Mo Wuxin and whispered, I hate to see you laugh. The saber had already been unsheathed. The saber light was like a dream. It was magnificent and resplendent. However, Mo Tianyun's hands were trembling. He did not know why his hands were trembling. Even his heart was trembling. But he quickly controlled his trembling. He was someone who had achieved great things. How could he tremble for an old dog like this? Even though he had done many things for him, an old dog was still an old dog, and an old dog was still a dog. It was just a dog. It was just a dog. That was all. Mo Tianyun clenched his teeth and thrust his saber forward with a dreamlike saber light. It pierced Soul Fighter's heart. He used so much force that a large piece of the saber actually came out of his back. Mo Wuxin's entire body shook. His pupils opened wide. Never in his wildest dreams would he have imagined that when he went against his conscience and shielded Mo Tianyun to frame Mo Tianji and Mo Qingwu, and even swallowed his pride to snatch this saber from Mo Qingwu's hands, in the end, it was actually his own grandson who took Mo Qingwu's saber and stabbed it into his heart. Mo Tianyun coldly looked at Mo Wuxin's widened pupils. He coldly clenched his teeth. His pupils were somewhat frantic and confused. He fiercely said, Still not dead. Still staring at me. Do you think you won't die if you stare at me? Do you think I'm afraid? Ah! He said that he was not afraid, but his voice was trembling. Then, he suddenly screamed. That was because Mo Wuxin had recovered his ability to move. He did not know where his strength came from. But, he stretched out his hands at lightning speed and hugged the saber. His strength seemed to have recovered at the moment of his death. This was the strength of a dying man's radiance. He had the ability to kill Mo Tianyun with his palm at this moment. After all, Mo Tianyun was not an emperor-level expert. He did not know the true terror of an emperor-level expert. However, Mo Wuxin did not attack. He only looked at Mo Tianyun with endless sorrow. Blood was constantly flowing out of the corners of his mouth. His hands were tightly hugging the saber. Blood was also oozing out of his hands. He said in a low and deep voice, Tianyun, you killed me. You killed me. You know. I'm your grandfather. I'm your grandfather. You're my grandson. Mo Wuxin spoke in a low and deep voice. Tears kept rolling out of his old eyes. But, he did not blink. Ah! Mo Tianyun took 2 steps back. Then, he sat down on the ground. He kicked his legs as he stepped back. What did you say? I'm your grandfather. I'm your biological grandfather. Mo Wuxin strenuously spat out blood. He looked at Mo Tianyun with tearful eyes and said intermittently, That year, it was me. As he spoke intermittently, a fact like a bolt from the blue appeared in front of Mo Tianyun's eyes. I am really your grandfather. I really am. Mo Wuxin painfully closed his eyes. You want this saber, you tell me. How can I not give it to you if you tell me? If it's related to your nature, you don't have to give up a saber. Your grandfather has done so much for you. A saber, what can it be? Mo Tianyun was dumbstruck. He had never dreamt that the person he had killed with his own hands would be his biological grandfather. He carefully thought about it, and finally understood why Mo Wuxin had supported him since childhood. Why did he spare no effort to train him from the beginning? Mo Tianji was not inferior to him. Why did he support him to the position of the young clan lord despite the opposition of the entire clan when he did not understand anything? He had always been puzzled. He only thought that he was born with the aura of a leader. Now that he thought about it, everything was just a fart. What aura of a leader? What feeling of being an overlord? Everything was very simple. It was so simple that anyone could understand it. It was because he was his biological grandfather. Even if he did not live up to expectations, it would be strange if he did not help him. He saw Mo Wuxin violently gasping for breath in the pool of blood. He was speaking intermittently. He was struggling on the verge of death. Mo Tianyun suddenly felt as if a knife was being twisted in his heart. I wouldn't have killed you if I had known that you were my grandfather. I had always been worried that as long as I stole the saber, the final suspect would have been me. Chu Yang and the others would not have kept it a secret for me. I could only kill you, and then create an illusion. Then, I would put on an act. With your hatred, no one would suspect me even if rumors were to spread. Moreover, I could use your hatred to frame Mo Tianji. I could even return to the position of the young clan lord in one fell swoop, because you had been so good to me. No one would suspect that I would kill you. I could cry. I could cry until I went into shock. I could cry until I fainted. I could cry until my eyes bled. I could cry until everyone sympathized with me. I would cry until I was truly crying. I would cry out of my true feelings. You would die. But, you would create a lot of value for me. You would not only save my life, but also my position. You would also bring me a lot of loyal subordinates. I had planned everything. How could I have imagined that things would turn out like this? You are my grandfather? You are my biological grandfather? How is this possible? Why didn't you say so earlier? Would I have leaked it if you had said so earlier? I am not stupid. No one could have imagined that things would turn out this way. Even Chu Yang, who forced Mo Tianyun, and Mo Tianji, who knew that Mo Tianyun would steal the saber, didn't expect this. Even Mo Tianji, with his wisdom, only thought that Mo Tianyun would think of a way to confuse Mo Wuxin and steal the saber. No one could have imagined that Mo Tianyun would be so vicious and merciless. He killed someone. He killed a person who was so indebted to him. He killed his biggest supporter, just for the sake of greater benefits. He is so deranged that it is beyond anyone's expectations. Mo Tianyun's entire body trembled. He suddenly pounced on Mo Wuxin like a madman, and forcefully grabbed Mo Wuxin's skinny shoulder. He gnashed his teeth in anger. You old bastard. Why didn't you say so earlier? You wouldn't be in such a troublesome situation if you had said so earlier. You old bastard, you motherfucker. Mo Wuxin's lifeless eyes looked at him. The expression in his eyes changed from hope to despair. He wanted to hear Mo Tianyun call him grandfather before he died. He didn't kill this little guy because he wanted to hear him. However, he didn't expect that this little guy would become even more vicious after he knew the truth. An old dog had turned into an old bastard. How could Mo Wuxin endure this? He had sacrificed his entire life. Mo Wuxin let out a hoarse laugh. His body suddenly erupted with a strong energy, and Mo Tianyun was sent flying. His skinny body straightened up, and he stood up from his lying position. Dreaming of a gentle dance saber was still stuck in his chest. I was wrong in the end. Mo Wuxin heaved a long sigh. He suddenly stretched out his hand, and pulled out the saber from his chest. Blood was dripping down from the saber. He looked at Mo Tianyun with a firm gaze and said, "You want this saber? Come and take it." Mo Tianyun saw his terrifying appearance, and couldn't help but take a step back. Come and take it. Mo Wuxin sadly looked at his grandson. This grandson had just killed him. He hissed, "Come and take it." Mo Tianyun clenched his teeth, and finally took a step forward. Mo Wuxin laughed and said, "Yes, this is my grandson. Take it. Do what you have to do." He threw the saber away, and blood splashed out. Then, his body swayed, and he muttered, "Dying at the hands of my own grandson. I, Mo Wuxin, can be considered as the only one in all of history." The light in his eyes suddenly disappeared, and he finally fell down with a plop. Mo Tianyun's entire body trembled as he held the saber. Suddenly, his voice trembled as he laughed. After a long time, he suddenly chopped the saber on Mo Wuxin's corpse. He wept tears of blood, and cursed, "Old bastard! Old bastard! You made me commit such a big crime. You old bastard!" Two shadows were coldly looking at this place from a dark place not far away. They were so angry that their temples were throbbing. Chapter 475. What happened? He thought to himself, Pu Mo Yang cried so fast. He went back and stole the saber. And Mo Tianji took advantage of this opportunity. Chu Yang couldn't have imagined that the Mo clan's matters would be so far out of his expectations. His original plan was to use this saber theft to provoke the conflict between Great Elder Mo Wuxin and Mo Tianyun. Then, Mo Tianji would hit him while he was down. Especially now that Mo Tianyun had almost lost all of the Mo clan's assets, it would be a fatal blow. Of course, Yian wanted Mo Tianyun to deliver the dreaming of a gentle dance saber. It was Mo Qing Wu's saber. When Mo Qing Wu heard the words Mo clan, her delicate body trembled. Her eyes could not help but reveal a frightened look. Her petite body unconsciously leaned against Chu Yang. The Mo clan has changed. Mo Tianyun is dead. Mo Wuxin is dead. Mo Xingchen has abdicated. Mo Tianji is the 13th clan lord. Dun Du Xing took a deep breath. He suppressed the shock in his heart and said the contents of the letter. When he first received the letter, he felt a chill down his spine. Even now, he could still clearly feel it. Dun Du Xing knew very well why the Mo clan had such a huge change. The culprit was sitting right in front of him. It was his own boss. The scene of Chu Yang's plan to force Mo Tianyun into a dead end was still vivid in his mind. First, he took out 300 million to show a carefree attitude. Then, he deliberately aroused the greed in Mo Tianyun's heart. Then, he bravely revealed that he had a huge amount of money. He clearly knew that Mo Tianyun could not take out such a huge amount of money. Then, he used words and benefits to tempt Mo Tianyun into mortgaging his clan's property and stepped into this irreversible tragedy. During the duel, he had even used some tricks to turn the tide of a losing battle around. After the gambling fight, he relentlessly attacked Mo Tianyun without mercy. He completely shattered Mo Tianyun's mentality and humiliated him. Then, he used Ju to pressure Mo Tianyun into an absolute predicament. Finally, he left a glimmer of hope for the other party, dreaming of a gentle dance saber. But who would have thought that this last hope would be Mo Tianyun's true path to ruin? Even if the Mo clan were to punish him, the debt owed by the young clan lord would still have to be repaid if he had honestly paid off his gambling debts. Mo Tianyun's position as the young clan lord would be abolished even if the Mo clan went bankrupt. However, the Mo clan could only grit their teeth and accept this debt. However, Chu Yang was very clear about Mo Tianyun's character. A saber is enough to offset everything. Why would he want to make trouble for himself? Therefore, Mo Tianyun's tragedy was inevitable. Chu Yang had paved a wide road to hell for Mo Tianyun. And, Mo Tianyun had no other choice. He could only walk forward. The only unexpected thing was that Mo Tianyun was walking a little too fast on this path. Chu Yang had only paved this part of the road to the Yellow Springs for him, but he had actually triumphantly charged through the Limbo Pepper. In the letter, Mo Tianji did not hide anything about what had happened in the Mo clan. Word by word, he revealed the terrifying truth. Mo Qing Wu's whole body was cold as she listened. She trembled as she burrowed into Chu Yang's arms. Who would have thought that the clan that she had grown up in was hiding such a tragedy, and she herself was one of the victims? If she had not been lucky enough to meet Chu Yang, then she would have been. Thinking of this, Mo Qing Wu's face turned pale. Really? Chu Yang listened to the whole story and was silent for a long time. After a long time, he finally said this sentence. He really did not think that Mo Tianyun would be so crazy. This Mo Wuxin is the main culprit. Chu Yang's fingers gently cracked as he said gloomily, "This old bastard, he caused so much harm to Qing Wu. Dying like this is too easy for him. And Mo Tianyun, he died too easily." Easy? Ji Mashuo, Du Xing, and the other 3 had cold sweat seeping out of their backs. Luo Ku Di smiled bitterly. Old man, this is the cruelest way to die. Even if you personally cut him into pieces and put him to death by 1,000 cuts, it won't be as cruel as dying like this. Sure Du Xing felt the same way. A biological grandfather painstakingly arranged a generation and supported his grandson. He used all his effort and blood, but at the final moment when he was about to succeed, he was killed by his own grandson. A grandson, without knowing, killed his own grandfather, and this kind of tragedy is the worse. Mo Tianyun certainly deserved it, but if he knew after death, I'm afraid, his soul would not be at peace. Dong Wushong thought for a while. Then, he sighed deeply and said, it was indeed a sale. But, Big Brother only wanted that saber at that time. He also wanted him to kill his own grandfather. That Mo Tianyun went crazy and did it spontaneously. This wasn't Big Brother's plan. A pitiful person must have a hateful side. Chu Yang said deeply, Mo Tianyun is not worthy of sympathy, and Mo Wuxin is also not worthy of pity. But, this matter has given us a reminder. You must remember, the 4 brothers listened carefully. No matter when, no matter what kind of desperate situation you are in, you must not take any risk. You must think thrice before you act. In a desperate situation, there must be a way out. This is the principle of heaven and earth. You must be careful because we are not only destroying ourselves. Chu Yang said seriously, we brothers are of one mind. Pull one hair and the whole body will be affected. He did not continue speaking. He only sighed softly. The flickering firelight illuminated the faces of the brothers. They were deep in thought and seemed to have understood something. Mo Qingwu's body was trembling in Chu Yang's arms. She had not yet recovered from the lingering fear of this matter. Chu Yang's arms tightened and hugged her tightly. He said softly, don't be afraid. It's all in the past. Mo Qingwu nodded gently and shrank in his arms. She felt Chu Yang's strong arms and gradually felt safe. Mo Qingwu actually felt very happy about what Mo Tianji had said in the letter, that dreaming of a gentle dance saber would always be hers. It was true that she liked that saber very much. But, she liked that saber because Brother Chu Yang liked it. Now, Brother Chu Yang was by her side. Whether it was the saber or not was no longer important. Humph, Brother Chu Yang is much better looking than that saber. Big Brother, do you know that although you have only been here for 3 days, your strength has already exceeded that of an ordinary clan? Dun Duxing smiled and waved the letter in his hand. He said, Mo Tianji wrote this letter for me. But, in fact, it is for you to read. Mo Tianji's meaning is very clear. From now on, he will form an iron alliance with you. So, he will cooperate with all the clans related to you. Even the Luo clan, who has always been hostile to you, will do the same. This is all for you, Big Brother. Dun Duxing laughed. In the past, Mo Tianji is in charge of the Mo clan. So, it is equivalent to standing on our side. The Dun clan has even said that the second son of the Dun clan is here. So, our Ji clan is also no problem. Second young Master Luo of the Luo clan is here. This bastard doesn't represent anything. But, the Luo clan won't be our enemy at least. And, the Dawn clan, is also the same. Ji Mo excitedly said, Big Brother, it is equivalent to the 3 big clans. Chu Yang faintly smiled. He pondered and said, you forgot that there is also the Huyen clan. And, Miss Aobua isn't inferior to men. Ji Mo's face turned red. He mischievously smiled. Then, he said in an intoxicated manner, that's right. She will certainly listen to me. She is so gentle, virtuous, and gives me a sense of security. Everyone felt a chill. Then, they laughed together. The next morning. Everyone hadn't set out yet. But, the young clan lord of the Xie clan, Xie Dan Qiong, rushed over to meet them. He had come to look for Chu Yang. Brother Chu, our Xie clan is in front of us. Chu Yang, you must stay for 2 days. Let this brother do the honors of a good host. Xie Dan Qiong's face was beaming with happiness. Everyone understood in their hearts that this wasn't the honor of a good host. It was clear that he wanted to pay off his debt quickly. After all, it was very uncomfortable for a proud and arrogant person like Xie Danqiong to always owe someone a debt. Xie Danqiong had come here to prove that the Xie clan had agreed to the deal that Chu Yang had proposed last time. Of course, I'll have to trouble brother Xie. Chu Yang happily greeted him. That's exactly what I wanted. Gold Tribulation and Gold Spike haven't swallowed anything for a long time. They are currently thinking of robbing the mountain of mysterious jade ice crystals and mysterious yang jade in the space. Gold Spirit is confronting them. It won't allow the robbers to enter the space no matter what. Both sides are in a deadlock. Xie Danqiong's arrival was like delivering charcoal in the snow. Xie Danqiong was also very happy. I've got a big bargain. It's 20% higher than the market price. How much money can I earn? How many experts can I recruit with this money? And, how much can my clan's strength increase? Moreover, such a good thing only happens once in several generations. How many nouveau riches like King of Hell Chu are willing to spend money like this? This opportunity can't be missed. So, I must sell the clan's inventory this time. Xie Danqiong was very excited. He would have shouted loudly if he hadn't wanted to keep it a secret. This place is full of stupid and rich people. Come quickly. Xie Danqiong couldn't have imagined that Chu Yang didn't care about the so-called gold and silver. As for the gold and silver notes, they weren't even as good as paper in King of Hell Chu's eyes. The improvement of the Gold Tribulation's strength was the most important thing in Chu Yang's life. Both of them had smiles on their faces. They were secretly happy in their hearts. Everyone thought that they had gotten a big bargain. But, who was the one who had gotten the real bargain? Everyone knew in their stomachs who had gotten the real bargain. The Xie clan welcomed Chu Yang from afar as if they were welcoming the god of wealth. They exchanged warm greetings with each other. Then, King of Hell Chu entered the Xie clan's treasure house with the heart of a vicious wolf. The Xie clan's treasure house had been passed down for nearly 1,000 years. Fuck. I'm rich. Xie Danqiong and Chu Yang howled like wolves in their hearts. Chapter 476. Jiyu Du Xing and the others ate and drank heartily in the hall. Xie clan's hospitality allowed the brothers to open their bellies. They drank big bowls of wine and ate big mouthfuls of meat. They weren't worried about Big Brother Chu, who was following Xie Danqiong alone. Only Mo Qingwu couldn't eat. She ate a few mouthfuls, and raised her head to look in the direction of Chu Yang's departure. Isn't Big Brother Chu Yang hungry? A burst of hurried footsteps was heard. Then, a red shadow came out in a hurry. She opened her mouth and shouted, Luo Ku Di. Luo Ku Di was startled. He had just scooped a spoonful of soup, but half of it spilled on his lapel. This is bad. This is bad. I forgot about this matter. I didn't even think of telling Big Brother about it. The person who came out was Xie Danfeng. She walked over quickly. She put one hand on her waist and asked, Where's that ugly bastard? Hey! Luo Ku Di was tongue-tied. Didn't you say that you were brothers with him? Xie Danfeng looked very anxious. How come I haven't seen that bastard's shadow for such a long time? Luo Ku Di stammered, I don't know. His brothers were looking at him curiously. So, Luo Ku Di had no choice but to tell them the situation of that day. As expected, the brothers suddenly exposed a look of great interest as soon as they heard the words Chu Yang's junior martial brother Tan Tan. Then, they started to ask questions at once. Really? Really? I heard that he's super narcissistic. How awesome is he? Luo Ku Di exposed an I can't bear to look back expression. He weakly said, You'll understand when you see him. Spare me. I don't feel hungry anymore when I think of him. Xie Danqiong laughed out loud. He didn't avoid the topic. He sat down, and drank big mouthfuls of wine and ate meat. He chatted and laughed with everyone on the side. Soon, he got along well with them. Jimo thought to himself, this girl's character is similar to Lei Feng's. It seems that Tan Tan and I are kindred spirits, so, he was in a good mood, and drank 3 cups of wine. The guests of the Xie clan looked at each other in dismay. These brothers are very careless. Their big brother went to discuss business with our young master. But, they aren't worried. Don't they know that big young master Xie Danqiong is famous? Little did they know that Jiyu Duxing and the others were not worried at all. Xie Danqiong was admittedly a golden abacus. But, compared to Chu Yang, this golden abacus, cough cough, wasn't necessarily any better. Brother Chu, look over here. This is the compensation that the clan has prepared for this bet. Xie Danqiong pointed at some strange metals that had been piled up there. Behind him were his third uncle, Xie Qingmo, and fourth uncle, Xie Qingyang. Both of them were experienced traders who had presided over many auctions of such rare items. They were very clear about the prices. Chu Yang looked at them one by one. Meteorites from outer space, cold iron from underground, star iron, cold gold. In total, there were 25 pieces in total. Its estimated value was definitely above 500 million. It seems that the Xie clan has done a very good job. They won't let Chu Yang suffer any losses. That's right, the Xie clan is indeed a big clan. I'll take them all. Chu Yang pondered for a moment and said, the total value of these things should be around 550 million taels. This is the market price. Xie Qingmo and Xie Qingyang looked at each other as soon as this figure came out. They both saw the affirmation in each other's eyes. Yes, the market value of these things should be this much. There shouldn't be a difference of 10 million taels. This king of Hell Chu's vision is very sharp. Chu Yang pondered for a moment and said, my promise is 20% higher than the market price. So, I'll give you 100 million taels. He took out 100 million taels of gold notes, and handed them over to Xie Danqiong on the spot. Xie Danqiong repeatedly shook his hands, Brother Chu, this isn't very generous of you. It's rare for you to extend the deadline to this point. Moreover, my Xie clan would lose face if we were to ask for this 20%. Please accept it, Brother Chu. Chu Yang smiled and said, Brother Xie, you also know that a man's words are hard to take back. Brother Xie won't make me a villain who doesn't keep his word, right? Xie Danqiong looked at his third uncle with a helpless expression on his face. Xie Qingmo nodded slightly and said, Young clan lord, you shouldn't decline since Minister Chu has such a broad mind. There will be plenty of time in the future. Xie Danqiong forced a smile and said, it would be impolite for me to refuse. Chu Yang laughed out loud and patted his shoulder. He thought, how can you obediently take out good things if I don't let you taste the sweetness? He said, Brother Xie, you don't have to be so polite. Gold and silver are just a pile of numbers for me. It's nothing. Xie Qingmo and Xie Qingyan's eyes lit up when they heard these words. Xie Danqiong issued an order, and called in a few people. He ordered them to pack the things that Chu Yang wanted, and deliver them to the Jiyu clan's camp. This place is quite big. Chu Yang looked at the warehouse where the strange metals were stored, and casually said, that's natural. Xie Qingmo's expression became somewhat affectionate as he said, Minister Chu, our Xie clan has a lot of precious things over the years. We can cooperate further if Minister Chu is interested. Chu Yang's eyes lit up. He said in high spirits, is that so? Then, I'll plunder a lot today. Ha ha ha. Xie Danqiong and his two nephews laughed happily at the same time, and said, as long as Minister Chu wants something, feel free to plunder it. The four of them laughed heartily. They were extremely happy. Chu Yang thought, I've been waiting for you to say these words. It seems that I'll return with a full load this time. The plunder, I said. Is it that simple? Xie Qingmo thought, I've been waiting for you to say these words. You still want to plunder us? We're also going to plunder your pockets. Minister Chu, this way please. This way please. Xie Qingmo politely pulled Chu Yang to a thick shelf, and said, Minister Chu, what do you think of this thing? Good stuff. Chu Yang's eyes lit up. There was a strange object in front of him. Its surface was pitted, and it flickered with a faint cold light. It was neither gold nor stone. It was only the size of a human head, but it was unusually heavy. The solid iron shelf was slightly bent because of the weight. Inside his dantian, Tribulation Sword cheered, and somersaulted in his dantian. This increased Chu Yang's determination to obtain it. This thing is a piece of meteoric iron from outer space. It has another name, 30,000 creatures. Xie Qingmo explained with a smile, just 300 years ago, this thing flew from the sky and landed on the ground. The impact of the impact turned the entire mountain range upside down. Within a radius of 500 miles, more than 30,000 people lost their lives because of the impact. Xie Qingyang continued, at that time, this thing was as big as a room. It was like a sun, burning fiercely. Later, we sent people to wait for it to cool down. Then, they used a sledgehammer to smash open the burning thing on the outside bit by bit, revealing the inside. But it was only this big. Look, the pits on it are the traces of the original burning. That's right. Chu Yang touched it with his hand. Then, he exerted force on his wrist and held this 30,000 creatures in his hand. He felt his wrist suddenly drop down. Only after exerting a bit more force did he hold it up. We don't know what this is, but it's extremely heavy. It's only the size of a human head, but the total weight is more than 5,000 pounds. Xie Danqiong looked at this strange thing. Although this thing's name sounded intimidating, it was extremely hard. It couldn't be damaged at all. The Xie clan couldn't do anything about it. They didn't know what it was used for. Now that Chu Yang came, the first thing he wanted to do was to sell this trash. Good stuff. I want it. Chu Yang nodded with satisfaction. Brother Xie, please name your price. Chu Yang didn't know what this thing was, but he knew one thing. Something that could make the Calamity Sword react was definitely good stuff. It should be known that the Calamity Sword only lazily moved things like star iron and nightmare steel. But it actually flipped over because of this piece of outer space cloud iron. One could imagine how precious this thing was. Xie Danqiong looked at this thing and discussed with his two uncles, Brother Chu, we don't know what this thing is used for, and we don't know its price. And it has never appeared in the market before, so we don't have a market price to refer to. How about 10 million taels? This was the price that the three of them had discussed. 10 million taels wasn't a lot, but it wasn't a small amount either. It showed the Xie clan's sincerity, and it wouldn't be a loss. It should be known that the Xie clan had mobilized manpower and material resources to get this outer space cloud iron. It was as high as 1 million taels of silver, and that was 300 years ago. Very good. Deal. Chu Yang said straightforwardly, it's 20% higher than the market price. I'll add another 2 million taels. He neatly took out some gold notes to settle the bill. King of Hell Chu's wealth at this moment was a perfect illustration of this. This thing, not to mention 10 million taels, Chu Yang would buy it for 120 million taels just for the Calamity Sword. As long as he could afford it, Chu Yang would buy it even if he had to spend all his money. Xie Danqiong and the other two sighed in relief and smiled. Brother Chu is really straightforward. This guy is really rich. He doesn't know what this thing is, but he can throw out 12 million taels of silver without batting an eyelid. While talking, Xie Danqiong took the notes and asked people to come in and carry this thing out. I don't need to introduce what this is. Xie Danqiong smiled and pointed at a strange light red object. Red cloud steel. It's really a good thing. Chu Yang's eyes lit up. This piece was about the same size as the big piece in the Iron Cloud Imperial Palace. It was a real treasure. 100 million taels of silver for this one. How about it? Xie Danqiong asked. Good. 100 million taels of silver, plus 20 million taels. Chu Yang agreed. This is a piece of nightmare steel. Deal. This is a piece of ghost steel. Deal. This is a piece of deal. This is deal. This is deal. He looked at 13 or 14 shelves along the way. But the shelves he had looked at were already empty. So, Minister Chu had bought all of them in a very straightforward manner. He was like a junk collector. As long as it was something, he would buy it. Since the Xie clan had put it here, how could they have ordinary goods? First update. Requesting monthly votes. The monthly vote situation is in jeopardy. Brothers and sisters, I already have 150 votes today. If I can reach 300 votes before midnight, I will add another 150 votes. I will vomit blood and add one more update on top of the 4 updates. This is the best I can do. I really can't do anything more than that. Chapter 477. By rough estimation, Chu Yang had already thrown out 800 million yuan in this short period of 1 hour. The golden notes in Xie Danqiong's bosom were constantly increasing and thickening. Xie Danqiong, Xie Qingmo, and Xie Qingyang were also getting more and more excited. He is really rich. He doesn't refuse anyone. The three of them weren't worried about what Chu Yang was going to do with these things. These things can only be used to forge weapons. But none of these things are easy to forge. Some of them won't change even if they are thrown into the crater of a volcano. King of Hell Chu will only be able to increase his collection if he buys them. Only those old monsters of monarch level or above in the upper three heavens who know how to forge weapons can possibly forge half of them. But such people are very old. So, who would do such a thing? Moreover, can you find those people, Chu Yang? He continued to lead Chu Yang forward in high spirits. They hadn't even gone through half of the Xie clan's treasure house yet. There were still at least 100 of them waiting to be seen. Chu Yang kept throwing golden notes as he walked. Then, the people of the Xie clan would come in and carry them out. Jiyu Du Xing would arrange for the people of the Jiyu clan to receive them. So, they would throw everything into Chu Yang's tent. The people of the Xie clan who were transporting things had changed from servants to 8 revered martial artists. After all, some things couldn't be moved by ordinary people. Chu Yang had gone through half of the treasure house. But he didn't have any money. A total of 5 billion had been thrown into the treasury. After all, the Xie clan had dominated the upper three heavens for thousands of years. How strong was its heritage? It was simply unrealistic for Chu Yang to want to empty out everything in one go. It didn't matter if he had no money. After all, Chu Yang had other means. Young Master Xie. Chu Yang suddenly stopped and looked at Xie Danqiong. Xie Danqiong was holding the golden notes in his bosom. Brother Chu, are you short of money? Xie Danqiong smiled. He had obviously sensed Chu Yang's difficulties. That's right. So, I want to ask if the Xie clan would be interested in something I have. Chu Yang smiled meaningfully. I don't know what treasure Brother Chu has. Xie Danqiong chuckled and said, Brother Chu, you don't have to be like this. Just tell me what you like. You can pay me later. I believe in Brother Chu's credibility. What credibility do I have? Chu Yang thought to himself, I've only been here for 3 days to 1 month, and I already have credibility. Why didn't I know about it? I have a piece of mysterious jade ice crystal. Chu Yang looked at the three of them meaningfully. I want to exchange it for some silver. Mysterious jade ice crystal? Xie Danqiong was dumbfounded. The golden notes in his bosom fell to the ground with a shua-shua sound. Xie Qingmo and Xie Qingyan's eyes also bulged out of their socket. The Xie family's martial arts took the soft and gentle path. The mysterious jade ice crystal was a supreme treasure that could greatly enhance one's martial art. Furthermore, if he wore the mysterious jade ice crystal while cultivating, there was no possibility of him going berserk. This was something that the Xie family hadn't been able to find for over 1,000 years, something that they had been longing for over 1,000 years. It's the crystal core. Chu Yang smiled and added 3 more words. Mysterious jade ice crystal core? Do you really have one? Let me have a look. However, it wasn't one of Xie Danqiong and his 2 nephews who had spoken these words. Instead, it was an old man who had suddenly appeared. His beard were all white. He was thin and withered. His entire body couldn't be cut into pieces. This old man suddenly appeared in front of Chu Yang. His eyes were emitting a divine light of desire. Ancestor. Xie Danqiong was startled. The old man who had arrived was the ancestor of the Xie family. He was Xie Zhiqiu, who had lived for 400 to 500 years. In fact, even Xie Danqiong didn't know how profound his cultivation was. This is a martial emperor. He's also the one who has been using his divine sense to lock onto you. Moreover, it seems that he has been stuck in this bottleneck for more than 100 years. I'm afraid he'll reach his limit if he can't break through to the monarch level in a few decades. Sword Spirit softly said in Chu Yang's mind, the mysterious jade ice crystal is a treasure that he can use to break through the bottleneck. No wonder you were willing to take out the mysterious jade ice crystal. So, you were targeting this old man, Chu Yang said in his heart. He finally understood why Sword Spirit had calmly reminded him not to be anxious. So, I was fishing for this big fish, of course. Sword Spirit mischievously smiled. Xie Qiu ignored Xie Danqiong and the other two people. His eyes were firmly fixed on Chu Yang. This movement immediately attracted the attention of the higher-ups of the Xie clan. The higher-ups who had been paying attention to this place appeared one after another in an instant. I naturally have the core of the mysterious jade ice crystal. However, I naturally want a suitable price for it. Chu Yang faintly smiled and said, otherwise, young clan lord Oyu Du Xiao had invited me to take a look at his clan's treasure house. You take it out first. This old man can assure you that I can give you a price beyond your expectations as long as you have it. Xie Qiu ignored the salutes of the Xie clan's people. He only stared at Chu Yang and said, all right. Chu Yang knew that it would be counterproductive to keep such people in suspense for a long time. He flipped his palm, and a fist-sized core of the mysterious jade ice crystal appeared in his hand. Suddenly, a cool and refreshing feeling appeared in the treasure house. It was a kind of cool and refreshing feeling that could calm one's soul. It seemed that no matter how agitated one's mood was, it would restore absolute tranquility under this cool and refreshing feeling. Dozens of gazes were fixed on Chu Yang's hand at the same time. It was a piece of jade that was as clear as water. It was exuding a gentle radiance. Xie Qiu's eyes were fixed on it. His entire body was somewhat trembling. This is it. This is it. I can't be wrong. This is it. I can break through to the monarch level as long as I have this. Moreover, the entire Xie clan's martial arts will take a big step forward because of this. Can I take a look at it? Xie Qiu rubbed his hands. Chu Yang faintly smiled, and handed over the core of the mysterious jade ice crystal. He sighed with emotion in his heart. The Xie clan was a famous clan in the Three Heavens. It could be considered a super clan in the Three Heavens whether it was in terms of financial resources or military strength. However, there was one thing that was worthy of praise, the upbringing of the Xie clan. The upbringing of the Xie clan was the strictest in the Three Heavens. The reaction of the Xie clan's people was beyond Chu Yang's expectations when they saw this peerless treasure that could directly affect the life and death of the entire Xie clan. Chu Yang had already made a plan. In fact, he had even compressed his consciousness. His divine sense was also ready to move into the tribulation space at any time. So, the sword spirit would immediately take over Chu Yang's body as long as there was any abnormal movement. Then, the sword spirit would unleash the full power of the tribulation sword and annihilate the Xie clan. Chu Yang wasn't a kind person. He wasn't stupid either. How could he take out such a precious treasure without any precautions? However, 17 people of the Xie clan had come in. Their eyes were flickering with greed and possessiveness. Moreover, only 5 of them had a murderous intention in their eyes. Most of them were shocked and pleasantly surprised. They were obviously greedy, but they weren't disgusted. It would have been abnormal if they hadn't been greedy after seeing such a precious treasure. This made Chu Yang praise them in his heart. The sword spirit had clearly seen the reactions of the Xie clan's people. He had analyzed them thoroughly. Xie Qiu held the core of the mysterious jade ice crystal. He felt that his somewhat withered meridians had regained their vitality. He took a deep breath and regained his composure. Little brother, you hastily took out such a precious treasure. Aren't you afraid that this old man will take it for himself, or kill you for money? There are always risks in life. Chu Yang smiled warmly. You must pay your sincere heart if you want to make friends. It can only be said that you took a gamble and lost if you get injured because of it. But, you'll have a lifetime of trust and reliability if you don't get injured. Gain and loss are equal in fact. I'm afraid. But, I can't not gamble. Good. 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 Xie Qiu looked at him with rapt attention for a long while. Then, he suddenly burst into laughter. He turned his head, and said, You should know the importance of this thing to our Xie clan. The other people of the Xie clan repeatedly nodded as they listened to their old ancestor's lecture. Little brother, Our Xie clan can't disappoint you since you've taken it out. Xie Zhiqiu said, this old man might as well tell you that this thing is a precious treasure in your hand. But, it's an opportunity for a meteoric rise in our Xie clan. He looked at the hidden treasure house and said, this hidden treasure house is yours. Everything inside will be used to exchange for your core of the mysterious jade ice crystal. Everything will be used to exchange for your sincerity. You can take whatever you want from my Xie clan in the future. There's no harm in taking it. We won't charge you even the slightest bit of reward. He turned around in a dignified manner and said, Dan Qiong, did you hear that? Yes, old ancestor. Xie Dan Qiong respectfully nodded. This is too hasty, right? Senior, you might as well consider it carefully. Chu Yong was startled. He hadn't expected that he would receive such an important promise in exchange. This promise and this exchange had made Chu Yong feel restless in his heart. You may not know what you've taken out. But, this old man can tell you that you've taken out the future of our Xie clan. Xie Zhiqiu solemnly said, our Xie clan has always respected people 10 times as much as they respect us. If someone cripples us with a finger, we take their life. We clearly distinguish between gratitude and grudges. Moreover, you've taken out such a precious thing. We can't repay you. Xie Zhiqiu solemnly said, to be honest, this old man still feels that it's not worthy of the value of this core of the mysterious jade ice crystal. It's priceless. So that's how it is, Chu Yang solemnly said, this junior needs these things since Elder Xie has said so. It would be impolite to refuse. But, I'll certainly repay you generously in the future. This was the first time that Chu Yang had said the words I'll certainly repay you generously in the future. Perhaps, it would have been nothing more than empty words if someone else had said it. However, Chu Yang's words were tantamount to making a promise. Moreover, the value of this promise was something that the current Xie clan couldn't even dream of. Perhaps, the Xie clan felt that they had gained a big advantage. However, Chu Yang knew that he was the one who had gained a big advantage. He wouldn't have been touched if the Xie clan had schemed against him. In fact, he wouldn't have felt the slightest bit of psychological pressure. However, the opposite party's Zheng Zhifeng had touched Chu Yang's heart. And, he obviously hadn't made such a promise out of hot-headedness. Chapter 478. Both sides felt cordial since they had spoken to this point. The Xie clan's people became enthusiastic, and helped Chu Yang to move the things out of the tent one by one. Jiu Du Xing's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Crap! Did Big Brother move the entire Xie clan? He saw that Chu Yang's tent had been piled up like a mountain. So, he had no choice but to tidy up the other 2 tents as well. Brother Chu, how are you going to move so many things? Xie Dan Qiong accompanied Chu Yang out and said, I will prepare a few carriages for you. No need. I have my own way, Chu Yang smiled and replied. Xie Dan Qiong handed over a thick stack of gold notes while speaking. Brother Chu, take this and use it. What are you doing? Chu Yang asked in astonishment. Brother Chu has given our Xie clan a great fortune. The old ancestor has said that he will use the entire treasury in exchange for your mysterious jade ice crystal core. So, this money is naturally yours. We can't take it, Xie Dan Qiong was very firm. Chu Yang was really helpless this time. I can take advantage of others, but I can't take advantage of others like this, right? Xie Dan Qiong couldn't help but laugh when he saw that Chu Yang was in a difficult position. He said, Brother Chu, I know that you feel somewhat apologetic in your heart. But, you want these things to forge weapons. Haha, to be honest, I'm very curious whether you can forge them or not. Wouldn't it be better if you give me one if you can forge them? He patted Chu Yang's shoulder and said, besides, we still have a long way to go in the future. You want to go to the OU clan. The OU clan's treasury isn't any worse than ours. So, you will need to bring the banknotes with you. Huh. Chu Yang's mind turned at lightning speed. He took the banknotes and said in a free and easy manner, I won't be polite since Brother Xie has said so. However, he had made up his mind. I won't let the Xie clan pay this money in vain. Brother Xie, can I take a look at your famous concealed weapon, the viburnum flower? Chu Yang asked with interest. Xie Danqiong was startled. He smiled and said, "Why not?" He took out his weapon as he spoke. He sighed and said, "Unfortunately, my viburnum flower hasn't reached the great level yet." Oh? Chu Yang looked at these two petal-like things and pondered with rapt attention. There was a mechanism on the petals that seemed to cause the sharp petals to spin rapidly, forming an indestructible storm that would destroy all enemies in front of it. Xie Danqiong demonstrated for a while and said, "That's it. But the secret book I've obtained is somewhat incomplete. Its might isn't small at present. But I still feel that my strength isn't sufficient. So, I can't display its full potential." What viburnum flower? It turns out to be the soul-seizing flower blade, the sword spirit said disdainfully. You know about this thing? Chu Yang asked in surprise. This is the famous weapon of the soul-seizing flower fairy 20,000 years ago. Once the soul-seizing blade is used, all the flowers in the world will lose their color. In a field of colorful rain of flowers, the enemy will be beheaded. It was the number one hidden weapon at that time. But this Xie guy's training is completely wrong. The sword spirit snorted. Why would I know? I personally developed this thing when I was following the 7th master of Calamity Sword. And I gave it to that guy as a gift to please his concubine. That soul-seizing flower fairy was that guy's concubine. So, do you think I don't know about it? Chu Yang was shocked. Ah, so, do you still have this thing? The sword spirit rolled his eyes. Do you want it? Nonsense. I can make it in a moment. But this soul-seizing flower blade is a woman's weapon. But this little guy is clearly a man's weapon. I'm afraid it won't be easy to master it. The sword spirit looked at Xie Danqiong and said. That's his business, Chu Yang said slowly. As long as he has the heart, the feminine can also transform into the masculine. The sword spirit's eyes lit up and he said, the feminine can also transform into the masculine. So, you and I will help him. Whether he succeeds or not depends on his good fortune. Xie Danqiong saw that Chu Yang was holding his viburnum flower and pondering. So, he couldn't help but feel strange. He asked, Brother Chu, is there something wrong? Chu Yang woke up from his contemplation and said, it's not wrong. But, when I saw Brother Xie's viburnum flower, I suddenly found it somewhat familiar. I had obtained these two things some time ago. And they were somewhat similar to Brother Xie's viburnum flower. But they weren't exactly the same. Really? Xie Danqiong's eyes lit up. Brother Xie, please wait for a moment. I will go in and take them out, Chu Yang said apologetically. Then, he slipped out of the room and went into his tent. He wasn't going to take them out. Instead, he was going to use some time to let the sword spirit make them. Chu Yang returned after a short while. Xie Danqiong looked at him in astonishment. Chu Yang took out two bud-like things from his bosom and said, Brother Xie, please take a look. These are the things. Xie Danqiong couldn't wait to take them. He turned them over and looked at them. Then, he pressed the mechanism below with his hand. The petals suddenly scattered. They looked dreamy and illusory. However, the edges of each petal was shining with a sharp edge. It seemed as if a demon from hell had suddenly drilled out, and was blinking its eyes. Xie Danqiong's expression became more and more excited as he looked at them. In the end, his hands started to tremble. Viburnum flower. This is the real viburnum flower. Xie Danqiong grabbed Chu Yang's hand and said, Brother Chu, where did you get this thing? This. I got it from an ancient tomb. Chu Yang said with difficulty. I remember that there was also a piece of gold leaf with the cultivation method engraved on it. But I thought that this thing was too feminine. So, I didn't practice it. Gold leaf. Cultivation method engraved on it. Xie Danqiong almost fainted. This shocking news had made him so excited that he had forgotten how to make an excited expression. Brother Xie, do you like it? Chu Yang pretended to be pretentious. He had made up his mind to give it to Xie Danqiong. However, he still needed to go through the process. After all, he still needed to justify himself. This was a lie. Like it. I like it very much. Xie Danqiong's eyes contained a pleading look. Brother Chu, this may be, The biggest opportunity in my life. Yes, this is it. The sword spirit had finished engraving the gold leaf at this time. This urgent work was indeed very tiring. Then, the sword spirit passed the message in his mind, I can only give him the first part of the cultivation method. His current cultivation is not enough. If he practices the second and third parts, I'm afraid that he will die under this soul-seizing flower blade in a few days. Chu Yang nodded silently. He took out the gold leaf and said, Brother Xie, take a look and see if this is useful. He hadn't finished speaking when Xie Danqiong had already snatched it away. He looked at it eagerly. After a long time, he suddenly raised his head and looked at Chu Yang with a look that made Chu Yang's hair stand on end. Then, he suddenly shouted and rushed forward to hug Chu Yang tightly. He used so much strength that even Chu Yang felt suffocated. Brother Chu, you are my biggest benefactor. Xie Danqiong's eyes were brimming with tears. He was so excited that he couldn't control himself. This is the most complete viburnum flower and the most complete cultivation method of viburnum flower, eh? Chu Yang struggled, it's good that it's complete. Let me go first. I won't let you go. Xie Danqiong was almost jumping with joy as he hugged Chu Yang. He held King of Hell Chu so tightly that his eyes rolled back. He suddenly realized that this was inconsistent with his usual elegant image. He embarrassedly released Chu Yang, and turned his head to look around. He saw that everyone in the Xie clan was looking at him as if they were looking at a monster. Xie Danqiong scratched his head. He was somewhat embarrassed. His handsome face turned red. Brother Chu. I'm sorry. I was too excited. I couldn't control myself. It's okay. I understand. Chu Yang smiled and nodded. He secretly rubbed his shoulder with his right hand. He thought in his heart, you are too excited. But, you are always hugging me. My shoulder is almost dislocated. Brother Chu, this is mine? Xie Danqiong tightly grasped the viburnum flower and the gold leaf. He looked at Chu Yang cautiously and somewhat apprehensively. Yes. Chu Yang nodded. Xie Danqiong almost cheered. He wanted to rush forward and hug Chu Yang again. However, he tried hard to control himself. He didn't lose his self-control. But, his handsome face had already turned red. Chu Yang took 2 steps back. He looked at Xie Danqiong vigilantly. Don't hug me. I won't be able to bear it if you hug me again. Xie Danqiong danced with joy as he went home. He repeatedly said, I won't go home until I'm drunk tonight. I must be drunk. He also said, Brother Chu, I didn't treat you well if you don't get drunk. I won't treat you well. But, getting you drunk is my greatest sincerity. Is this guy crazy? Jimo looked at Xie Danqiong's appearance. He was confused. Could it be that Big Brother Chu emptied his house? And, that's why he went crazy? I think so too. Luo Kudi's complexion was profound. His eyes were deep. There are some signs of that. I remember that there is a kind of disease called epilepsy. Xie Danqiong may be this kind of patient. He's so pitiful. Jimo nodded. I also think so. Luo Kudi nodded. He's like second brother Jiyu. He's a little dumb. I feel the same. Jimo felt that Luo Kudi had spoken his mind. Both of you, get lost. Jiyu Duxing flew into a rage. With a kick, both of them flew into the air. The Xie clan held a big banquet that evening. All the high-level members of the Xie clan attended. Even Xie Qiu, who had been living in seclusion for more than 100 years, attended this event for the first time. Xie Qiu announced the alliance between the Xie clan and Minister Chu before the banquet began. He clearly stated that Chu Yang would be an irreplaceable ally of the Xie clan from now on. The Xie clan didn't need to care about any theory or right or wrong as long as it was related to Chu Yang. They would clearly stand on Chu Yang's side. This decision was obviously somewhat crazy. However, Xie Qiu knew that Chu Yang was worth it after he saw the viburnum flower and the mysterious jade ice crystal core. This friendship was worth it. It was worth the Xie clan's effort. Jiyu Duxing and the others knew that the Xie clan of the Three Heavens would advance and retreat with them from now on. This was tantamount to saying that Chu Yang's goal had taken a big step forward. They didn't know how Chu Yang had done it. But, They felt that their future was getting brighter and brighter. Chapter 479. It was a night of revelry. Xie Dan had almost gone crazy on this night. He had pulled Chu Yang to a drinking contest. One cup after another, and one jar after another, Xie Dan goal was very obvious: to get Chu Yang drunk. Only by getting Chu Yang drunk could he show his sincerity, his gratitude, and his sincerity. God knows how this thought came to be. Chu Yang had just dealt with a round of people urging him to drink when he saw Xie Dan walking drunkenly. Xie Dan eyes were slanted as he staggered over. His handsome face was full of drunkenness that could make a girl jealous. Come, 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 brother Chu, let's drink. He was burping non-stop. But his heroic spirit hadn't diminished. It won't do if you don't drink. Xie Dan was somewhat tongue-tied. This is my secret wine. It's mixed with immortal intoxication. You can't force it out with spiritual power. Come, 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 drink this cup, drink this bowl, drink this jar, drink this jar. I didn't treat you well if you don't get drunk. Chu Yang was dumbfounded. Is there such a thing? You didn't treat me well if I don't get drunk. Well, who's afraid of you if you want to drink? Chu Yang was full of heroic spirit. He suddenly stood up and shouted, "Good. Let's drink. Let's see how much I can drink today. I'm going to single-handedly challenge the Xie clan. I didn't drink if you don't get drunk." These words had thoroughly ignited the conflict. Everyone from the Xie clan was stunned. Then, they flew into a rage. What did I just hear? This fellow actually wants to compete with our entire family in drinking? Drink him to death. Kill him. Drink him to death. Everyone, let's go together. Line up. The banquet will be over when we get him drunk. Let's go. Jiyu Duxing, Dong Wushong, Jimo, and Luo Kudi had also suffered since Chu Yang had said these words. A few old emperor-level experts had drunk faces as they caught these youngsters. Drink. You don't want to drink? Why don't you try? It didn't take long. Jimo's head heavily fell on the table with a bang sound. Then, he slid down the table like mud. His entire body slid down the table like a snake, and lay on the ground with his arms and legs spread out. After a while, Luo Kudi had foolishly started to hum. Then, he shouted 3 times in a row, "Awoo! Awoo! Ow!" He fell to the ground with a thud, unconscious. After a while, Dong Wushang laughed heartily. He downed 3 jars in a row and collapsed on his back. At the same time, Jiyu Duxing snuck under the table without a word and started snoring. Mo Qingwu's little loli jumped left and right, exclaiming, "Wow! Brother Ji Mo has fallen. Wow! Brother Little Wolf is also down. Wow! Brother Wu Shong is drunk. Wow! Brother Du Xing is snoring. Wow! Brother Chu Yang is still drinking." The spirit of the Xie clan's people was roused when they saw that Chu Yang was the only one left. Although the Mo clan had sacrificed many experts of the Wine Kingdom in order to indoctrinate Jiyu Duxing and a few others, they still had the advantage in numbers. However, there was one thing that everyone couldn't understand. This king of Hell Chu is like an extra-large wine vat. No matter how much he drank, he wouldn't get drunk. King of Hell Chu started to get drunk not long after the banquet had started. His eyes were slanted, and he was on the verge of collapsing. But he was still on the verge of collapsing. Even after drinking for so long, he was still on the verge of collapsing. How much did he drink? Bring more wine. Minister Chu shouted. Bring more wine. Minister Chu shouted again. Here's the watermark of setting sail. Damn it. Bring all the wine, the Xie clan's people shouted in unison. One at a time, don't mess around. Minister Chu maintained order. Come, 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 Xie Dan. I will start with you. I will drink you down one by one. Come, everyone who is drunk, move them over there and lie down in an orderly manner. Xie Dan nose and mouth were full of wine. He murmured, I will drink you to death. Then, he fell down with a thud. Then, another person came up. Chu Yang downed 3 jars in a row with a bang 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 sound. Then, people came up one after another. Minister Chu didn't refuse anyone. He drank all the wine. Everyone in the Xie clan felt a chill in their hearts. Drinking like this, is he still a human? Crap, he drank 30 or 40 pounds. Minister Chu's alcohol tolerance wasn't good. This wasn't a secret in Bu Tian Pavilion of Iron Cloud. He would get angry if he drank a little more than 2 or 3 pounds, but the problem was, the sword spirit had made a big wine jar in the tribulation space. He was helplessly looking at the cups and jars of wine. It was like the Milky Way. It was unceasingly pouring into the big wine jar. It was almost full. Therefore, he made an extra large one. The sword spirit forced a smile. How can he get drunk like this? He can't get drunk even if he drinks all the wine in the world. This is bullying. However, the people of the Xie clan were drinking the wine one after another. Midnight. Minister Chu roared, "Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else?" All around them, there was a mess of bodies. The only one who wasn't drunk was the ancestor of the Xie clan, Xie Qiu. Xie Qiu forced a smile, and slipped away on tiptoe. "I'm so old. I won't go crazy with this bunch of youngsters. Look at this. I'll be in vain if I go up against them." The servants of the Xie clan kept quiet out of fear. They looked at King of Hell Chu as if they were looking at an immortal. Crap. There's no justice in this world. Dozens of people were at the level of a wine immortal. But they were all knocked out by him. And they were still clamoring. "I've never heard of such a pervert since ancient times. This isn't ordinary wine. It's mixed with immortal intoxication. It's a wine that can intoxicate a soul." They looked at Chu Yang. "This guy can't be judged by common sense." Chu Yang shouted a few times. Then, he finally swayed twice and fell down with a bang sound. He then whispered, "Bring the wine." The minister was drunk. In fact, he was drunk after drinking 1.5 liters of wine. He was just trying his best not to fall down. Now that his mind was relaxed, the effect of the immortal intoxication took effect. And he couldn't stand. The sword spirit looked at the 4 jars full of wine in the tribulation space. He couldn't help but force a smile. Each jar has 50 liters of wine, right? This guy drank so much, but his belly didn't bulge. How could the Xie clan's people not see it? It was a mess at that time. Who had the time to look at Chu Yang's belly? They just drank. The sword spirit sighed and made a cup. Then, he drank a cup out of curiosity. He suddenly felt dizzy. He swayed twice, and cursed, "Fuck, the soul is intoxicated," his grandmother. The sword spirit also fell down. The immortal intoxication targeted the soul. The sword spirit was a wisp of a remnant soul. So, he bore the brunt of it. Therefore, the sword spirit gloriously fell down, with 1 cup. He started to snore. The next day, Chu Yang sleepily opened his eyes. He shook his head twice, and felt a little dizzy. "Why is it so fragrant?" A small head came over from the side. "Brother Chu Yang, you're awake." It was Mo Ching Wu. She was wearing thin pajamas. She popped her head out of the quilt like a kitten, and looked at him with concern. "Ching Wu, why are you here?" Chu Yang shook his head. He was still confused. "Why are you in my quilt?" "You're drunk. I was afraid that you would feel uncomfortable last night. So, I slept with you." The little girl actually knew how to be shy. "Brother Chu Yang, you're so bad. You've scratched my butt until it's swollen. And this is my quilt, not yours." "Ah?" Chu Yang was shocked. He suddenly sat up, and saw that his upper body was naked. He couldn't help but be shocked. He hurriedly turned to ask Mo Ching Wu, "I didn't do anything, right?" He kept praying in his heart. "Please don't do anything outrageous. Ching Wu is still so young." "Do what?" Mo Ching Wu opened her eyes and looked at him in confusion. "Do what?" Chu Yang blinked, and black lines appeared on his forehead. How to explain? "You didn't do anything." Mo Ching Wu curiously blinked her big eyes. I didn't drink too much." Chu Yang opened his eyes awkwardly. Then, he suddenly had an idea, and said, "I'm so thirsty." "You didn't drink too much?" "Humph, you stunk all night." Mo Ching Wu wrinkled her little nose. "Wait, I'll get you some water." She walked barefooted, and nimbly ran to get the water bag. Chu Yang looked and let out a sigh of relief. "Looks like I didn't do anything last night." I'm finally relieved. After gulping down a few mouthfuls of water, Chu Yang was about to get up and put on his clothes. Little Wu, you go out first. Big brother Chu Yang needs to put on his clothes. Go ahead. Little Luo rested her chin on her hands. You're here. It's inconvenient. Chu Yang was speechless. What's inconvenient about it? Mo Ching Wu was very disdainful. She wrinkled her little nose. Just wear yours. Chu Yang was helpless. Suddenly, he thought of a very important question. Last night, who took off my clothes for me? Of course it was me. Little Luo felt a sense of accomplishment, and with pride, she said, other than me, who else could it be? Minister Chu's face instantly turned red. Looks like I'm naked. No clothes. There's even a pair of shorts. Mo Ching Wu looked at Chu Yang, and suddenly giggled. Big brother Chu Yang, are you shy? Looking at Mo Ching Wu's pure eyes, Chu Yang suddenly felt ashamed. Yes, this little girl doesn't know anything. She's serving me sincerely, what's there to be shy about? I'm still thinking too dirty. Lifting the blanket, he got out of bed graciously and smiled. Where are my clothes? Mo Ching Wu covered her nose and scurried out. Big brother Chu Yang. I have to say, your feet, last night, I almost died from the smell. Now that you've lifted the blanket, why are your feet so smelly? Minister Chu, who was wearing shorts, was stunned like a wooden chicken. After a while, he let out a strange cry. I was drunk last night and didn't wash my feet. When Chu Yang finished packing and came out of the door, Mo Ching Wu immediately darted into the tent nimbly, carried the blanket out, and put it under the sun to dry. Mo Ching Wu tied a rope between the two trees. Then, she skillfully draped the quilt over the rope. She looked left and right to make sure that no one was around. Then, she sneakily moved her small nose towards the quilt and sniffed it. She wrinkled her brows and covered her nose. Oh, it stinks. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.